Hello and welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever. There's all kinds of family. We chose this one. This is episode 255, F9, Lap 11. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe too, and this episode's brought to you by Magnet Forensics. Simplify your investigations. Axiom Cyber is a robust digital forensics and incident response solution for businesses that need to perform remote acquisitions and collect and analyze evidence from computers, the cloud, and mobile devices. Shout out to Magnet Forensics.
Well, shout out to Magnet Forensics and welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever. After the break, we'll be talking about F9 featuring magnets. But Joe, extracurricular activities, what have you been up to since we last spoke?
This last weekend was Labor Day, and we went to visit Rachel's parents and actually her aunt and uncle and their daughter and her husband and child all joined as well. So it was a big family fun time adventure for the weekend. I had a blast. It was good seeing them. But I have something really cool that I learned while I was there that I want to share.
Is this what you were teasing via Facebook Messenger today?
Yes, it is.
Okay, go ahead.
It's 100% it. Okay. So we played this game while we were there. They called it Salad Bowl. I've never heard of it or seen it before. Apparently it was very popular with Rachel's cousin and her friends when they were in college. So we played it this weekend. Have you ever heard of this?
I've heard of Salad Bowl. I don't know if I remember what it is, but go ahead. You've given me no clues so far other than a name that I may or may not remember.
So you start out, everybody writes down 4 things, okay? They can be anything, inside jokes, they can be nouns, they can be any type of thing that you want, right? So, like, I could put the Steelers or whatever I wanted as one of my things. You make 4 of them, everybody puts them into a bowl. The first round, you describe the words without saying it, kind of like password or something like that, right? You could be like, it's a football team, they're from Pittsburgh, whatever, right? And then somebody's like, oh, the Steelers, cool. Okay. You go through the entire bowl, you get to the end, you tally up the points. I think you just get like a point for everyone that they get right? Everybody goes around the room, everybody takes a turn as it goes until you finish. Second round, you have to do the same clues again, and then all the clues go back into the bowl. You have to do the same clues again, but you can only do charades.
Okay.
So same exact clues that we just guessed, but you just do the same thing with charades. So, like, same thing, go around the room, tally up the points, and now you've seen the clues twice, right?
Yep.
The third time, you do one-word descriptions of the clues, and that's it.
Okay.
So then you'd be like, football, right? And everybody heard Pittsburgh Steelers twice. So, okay, then cool. And then the fourth and final round is you play charades, but under a sheet.
Okay.
So you have to do charades, but you're in a sheet, so you can't really do the full charades, right? Even if the charades are bad, even if the clues are bad, you start memorizing what the clues were, right?
Yes. Assuming you're paying attention or don't have a broken brain.
Even if there's like some really hard or really weird ones in there, like when it comes to you and you get to the bottom, you'll recognize that it's yours.
Right.
Too.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and so you're obviously playing all of them, and so this game was just a fucking blast, and I really liked it. I think it's great for like groups of friends.
Well, I will say, update, I have not played Salad Bowl.
Okay, you haven't. No. I think that you guys would really like, because you can totally cater it, suit it to whatever.
Yeah, I think if we knew about this in college when I was at Larson's house every Friday night, we definitely would have played that because we were all so big in charades. But like, I don't think I have any group of friends now that would really tolerate this. I mean, it sounds fun to me, but I can't think of any group, like combination of my friends who would do this kind of thing. Maybe.
I mean, obviously, I'm not playing this with like the guys in the fantasy hockey league. You know what I mean? But as like a family game, you need nothing to play. It's very gentle, and they can be, like, as weird clues as you want. And it's also good if you were, like, spending the day together, because you could just make a lot of the clues things that you did throughout the day, or things you said, or inside jokes, whatever, right? So it was a lot of fun. Highly recommend it. I liked it a lot. You have to have a group that would, like, want to play a game like this. But if you do, try this version. A lot of fun.
Cool.
I don't know if that's the real name of it or if that's the name they called it. I feel like it might be one of these games that has like 50 different names, like everybody played their own version of it type situation, but I don't know. I got a recommendation actually from my boss to watch the show Mo on Netflix. Have you heard of this?
I know about Mo. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like big on the banner or whatever like that. I wasn't like I had seen it, but like I was like, okay, I'm not gonna try it. He's like, I think you would really like it. We started watching it. It's 20-minute episodes. It's like way grittier than I thought it would be, like darker.
Mm-hmm.
It's about this kid who's like a Palestinian immigrant who's like probably mid-30s. He lives in like Houston, Texas. There's lots of chopped and screwed music.
It's like autobiographical. It's like it's fictionalized, right? But it's like based on his life or something.
I think probably so. It's too real not to be. And there's like, and he's like in a bunch of like gangster type situations. But it's mostly like a show about family and stuff like that. So like those parts are heartwarming. There's like weird shit that happens. Either way, excellent show. 20-minute episodes. There's only 8 of them. I have the finale left. We saved it, and we've liked everything we've seen so far. It's really funny. He's really funny. The actors are great.
Is there anybody in there that you recognize or no?
Not one person, I don't think. Maybe there's one lady, but she also just looks like so vanilla. I can't tell if I recognize her from something else, or if she is somebody I recognize. So no, and I didn't like look anything up because I didn't want any spoilers or anything. So I haven't done any of that yet. But yeah, highly recommend it. It's awesome. Oh, and I finished Hard Knocks too because that came out last night, and Hard Knocks was cool. I like Dan Campbell, and I like him telling everyone that they were really great. Did you watch the newest episode?
No, because I was out last night, and today has been terrible with work stuff. So
I'm sorry.
No, I've not. That's fine.
Yeah, watch the new Hard Knocks, which I'm sure you will. So
yeah, I will. I was going to today, and then I just ran out of time. Between this episode when we talked to Nate later, I had to finish the movie. Like, I haven't even had time to do that. So that's the kind of day that I had. It's fine. So last Thursday night, Bob had an extra ticket to a show in Asbury Park for the band Built to Spill, which is one of his favorite bands. He'd never seen them, but he had bought tickets, and he thought he was going to go with somebody, and they bailed on him. So he's just like, do you want to go? I'm like, I don't really know their music. Do you know Built to Spill?
Never heard of them. What's it like? What's
They're
genre
kind of like alt, kind of like garage. I don't know. It's genres. I've never been good with genres, and I was reading a thing recently that like genres only existed like when like there were like physical retail stores you need to put a thing in a place, and now it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, but I mean, like, what's it like alt rock? You could tell me it's like a ska band.
They also kind of like jammy, but not jammy in a fish way, like jammy like in a rockier kind of way, like not like a.
That's cool.
Because they also have like really tight, like sort of poppier songs, but then just some like, you know, they came out for the encore, which was one song and it was like 12 minutes long, but it doesn't feel like, it's not like, hey, like let's play a half an hour long song and just, you know, get high or whatever.
Yeah.
So they were great. The bassist in that, so apparently Built to Spill is this one dude, Doug, and then his band changes every album, apparently, but his bassist that night was also in the opening band, or one of the opening bands, this band called Blood Lemon, who I really liked as well. So it was a good, nice little 2-for-1. And then we had another Lottery Pod episode to do, so we recorded and talked to the author of a book called Shitstorm, which is, this whole season's been internet books, and this one's about Twitter and sort of in the Trump era and stuff like that. And so that was on Saturday. And I also saw the movie 3,000 Years of Longing, which is a new Idris Elba movie. He's in 2 in theaters right now. It's that and Beast. This is him and Tilda Swinton. And is directed by George Miller, who did Mad Max Fury Road, as well as Babe. But it's really good. It was sort of, it's one of those kind of movies where, like, only George Miller kind of could have made it. It's kind of unlike most other things. It's sort of like, it's slow, and, like, it's a romance. It's like, because Idris plays a djinn, like a genie. Tilda gets the bottle that he's in, and so he comes out, and once he grants her 3 wishes, he can go on to like the next djinn place or whatever. But like he tells this whole story
like
about
a purgatory place, or like
wherever he's going
person.
To ascend to. No, I think it's just like to the next whatever, because he's sort of trapped in purgatory now, because he tells this whole story. Like the titular 3,000 Years of Longing is that every single time he's been like uncorked from his bottle, the 3rd wish has never been made, and so he's just been like hesitating and like stuck in kind of limbo. It's not like he's got like 100 different people. It's like this one person did, and then he got like thrown in the bottom of the ocean, was there for 1,500 years or whatever, right? So he plays this like djinn, but it's basically, it feels almost assuredly like a pandemic movie where it's just most of the movie is just the 2 of them in a room, but there's also like all over the place, like there's all sorts of different things and lots of great special effects and stuff like that. So
cool.
Saturday was National Cinema Day, where movie tickets at basically every theater were just $3 because there was like nothing in theaters anymore. Top Gun was still in theaters, and they brought Spider-Man back, and they're just trying to get people to go out to the movie. So like my theater now is doing $3 tickets, $3 popcorn, and $3 sodas. And I'm like, okay, that's really cool. So like I'm gonna get a ticket. I'm like, should I just go there and get a ticket in person? I'm like, no, I'll pay. Like, there's like a $2 service fee. I'm like, I'll just pay that because like, I don't want to go and come back or whatever. And then I got there, and the theater was swamped.
Wow.
With people
okay.
because like it worked, and like the line to it was like it's like a combo line because it's not a huge theater, but it's like a combo line to get like drinks and tickets, and that was like 50 or 60 people deep. So I'm like, I'm so glad it was the best $2 service fee I've ever paid.
Yeah.
Because it saved me. Like I was able to see the movie or whatever. So I think that's a really good idea. The National Cinema Day. Like there was no new releases. I don't think it was all just sort of like archival stuff or whatever, or like things that have been out for a couple weeks.
Recent stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a cool idea, I think. Didn't really do anything for Labor Day because I have things like the next like 8 weekends. I'm like, I kind of want to just do nothing.
Dude, that's what I'm doing this weekend. I'm already feeling it because like I'm doing something a weekend after, and this weekend's like first weekend of NFL. We have F1. We have soccer. We have everything. I'm like, yo, this is like the first 3 TV weekend all weekend that I'm just going to sit here and watch sports all weekend. But go ahead.
Because people don't remember, you installed 2 little TVs on either side of your big TV. So you actually literally do have 3 TVs. It's not like there's 3 things to watch. It's like you have 3 things going on at the same time.
Yeah, I'm going to be utilizing all 3 televisions at the same time is what I'm saying.
Yes. Last night I drove into the city to visit a friend because his wife is in the country of Jordan, and so he's playing single dad this week with his toddler, so I just hung out with them for a couple hours last night, which was nice.
Nice.
I also have seen a couple other movies that are new to me but not new that I really, really loved. Repo Man, which I think we'll do at some point for this podcast. Do you know Repo Man? Have you heard of Repo Man?
Yes, I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
I'm not going to say anything more because we'll get to it eventually, but it's one of the best... there's some list of like one of those websites like best car movies or whatever. That's not why I did this. It's a Criterion movie. I've owned the Blu-ray for, knowing me like a decade probably without having watched it, but I watched it and I really, really liked it. I watched the Jackie Chan movie Rumble in the Bronx, which was great. Have you seen that one?
No, I actually haven't seen a ton of Jackie Chan movies. I've seen a lot more Bruce Lee movies than Jackie Chan, but not a ton of Jackie Chan.
Well, Jackie Chan ones are more comedic. Like,
yeah, exactly.
This one's not super funny, but
like I've seen Rush Hour back in the day and stuff like that, but like I don't think I've spread further than that. Like, and I've seen him in things that weren't, I don't think, like fully Jackie Chan movies type situations. You know what I mean?
Yeah. This is like this is him like coming to America for his uncle's wedding while he's here. 2 rival gangs or whatever start causing trouble. And he like sort of forces himself to intervene and then just goes from there. But like this is another movie where like every scene is better than the last. And I was talking to Mark Hoffmeyer because like some of the things that he is super, super devoted to and fanatical about in terms of like what he loves seeing in movies, like is all over the third act of this movie. I'm like, this feels like you wrote that. He's like, that is the best compliment I've ever received. But I think that we'll do this one for the podcast. There's a specific lap that we've been talking about that this would definitely fit into. So I think we'll do that one day. And then I also watched the movie Earth Girls Are Easy. Do you know that from the 80s?
No.
So it's kind of like it's a very LA Valley movie. So it's directed by Juno Temple's dad, Julian Temple, who was a music video director. Okay. And it was written by this woman, Julie Brown, who I think was on, I think she's maybe known for, she's like an LA comedy person. And she wrote this, and she's not the star. She's just kind of like a supporting character. Gina Davis is the star, but Jeff Goldblum, Jim Carrey, and Damon Wayans are these aliens who crash on Earth. And it's just following them around.
That's
and it's
a good cast.
Supremely campy and weird and fun, and I really enjoy that. So
cool. That sounds like a fun
good
movie.
Week of movies, which was nice.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Have not started the Lord of the Rings show yet. We're talking about it a little bit with Wes today. I'm going to. I've not yet.
Yeah, I plan to start that too, just because I'm curious about it. House of Dragons too. I'm still planning to start, but I was doing stuff all weekend, and yeah.
She-Hulk is really good. That's halfway done right now. Reservation Dogs is one of the best shows on TV, I think. Shadows, What We Do in the Shadows just ended. Oh, out this week in the theaters. I've not seen it yet because it's not out yet. But Mark Hoffmeyer recommended, the aforementioned Mark Hoffmeyer, recommended this new movie called Barbarian, which he said, don't read anything about it, just go see it. I think it's either action or horror. It's one of those kind of because his podcast, Movies, Films, and Flicks, I didn't realize that what they basically do is they review like horror movies and indie movies and like bad movies. Like they don't do like, I don't think they do like big releases, unless the big release is like a horror movie or whatever.
Okay.
But whatever this genre is of this movie fits in that. He's just like, you need to see this movie. I'm like, all right, so I will see that this weekend at some point and report back. But
Cool.
glowing review from Mark about Barbarian. So if you're interested in that kind of movie, again, I don't know what it's about. He says don't look it up. But I guess if you want like a cool movie, question mark, I don't know, check out Barbarian. Oh, and Rick and Morty's back. Did you know that?
No. Yes. No, I saw somebody say something about an episode, but that's the equivalent of, like, that's the extent of what I've seen.
Yeah, it was good. It wasn't great. It was good. But that's, I think, everything. We have a Patreon page, toofast2forever.com. Shout out to Cassie Wilson, Ben Milliman, Nick Burris, Alex Ellen, and Justin Kleiman, and Brian Rodriguez of High School Slumber Party. Haley Gerbies, Wes Hampton, Jerry Robinson, Dan the Duke, Hayden Renato G. Donato, Michael McGann, Lane Middleton, Lindsay Lewandowski, Nate Milton, of the Kings of Sport. I've not said Nate's on this episode. I mean, I mentioned his name, but Nate Milton of the Kings of Sport is going to be talking with us tonight.
Yes, he will.
Jason Rainey and Jessica Collins, a.k.a. Mon Tej. Thank you all for supporting us at the $5 a month level or above.
I wonder what Vanessa Hudgens is up to.
There are rumors that she was going to take over a late night. Who's stepping down? Is it Corden is stepping down? One of the late night shows, and there was a rumor, there was like a blind item that she might be in the running, which I don't know that she would want to do, but she's been hosting lots of like red carpets and stuff like that. She did, I think, the MTV Movie Awards or something, and she was like really, really good at it because like everybody likes her. She's very personable.
Interesting.
She's good in front of the camera, and I don't think that's someone who is basically, you know, not necessarily a movie star, but like, you know, on the rise, like she was in Bad Boys for Life and stuff like that. I don't know if she would want to do it, but it seems like there was a rumor that if, you know, also keeping in mind, there's never been a woman or a non-white guy on one of the main networks as a late night host, right? So like,
yes, never, ever, ever. That's what also the first thing that came into my brain when you said that.
But there is a rumor that she's maybe being considered. Who knows at that, you know, what level of consideration? But that's what she's been up to. She also sold the house. I mean, she's doing a lot of stuff. Who Weekly talks about her a lot because she is like the success story that like went from doing like really kind of hooey behavior, like just sort of like sponsored content and stuff like that, to like actually successful at it. So I get updates about her once or twice a month from Who Weekly, so she's still out there. Cool. She's still doing work. I don't think she's acting in things, you know, that I've heard about, but she's still out here.
Yeah,
lots of vacations according to Instagram. Always in a bathing suit somewhere in some beautiful locale. So, but shout out to everybody for supporting us on the Patreon.
Yeah, thanks.
If you want bonus episodes, early access to episodes, if you want to pick what we watch. If you want swag and merchandise, our undying love and affection, we're about to start a new lap, and every $10 patron is going to get picked every lap from here on out. toofast2forever.com for that. We also have a bonus episode coming out next week. So if you are listening and you want access to that, we'll announce it at the end of the episode. Sign up, toofast2forever.com. Even $1 a month gets you in the door. We also have an email address, family@cageclub.me. So we have a new comment from YouTube, but it's on a Hobbs and Shaw episode, and it's the sad sweating emoji, and then some, I don't know what this is. I think it's just spam. I tried to figure out what it was. I couldn't, but I just want to share it, because, you know, every time we get one of these, I want to make sure I read it out loud. But we got 2 emails that are their patron picks, and I also messaged a couple people today on Facebook that you were privy to. But Alex Ellenin sent in his pick, and this is a movie that I've been dreading for a while.
Okay.
And he said that he was not going to make us watch it without him having watched it. So he was messaging me on, I think, Friday as he watched this.
Okay.
And sent it in. It is the Fast and Furious parody film, Super Fast.
I think I've seen that one.
The poster is like the Fast and Furious heads above the car. It's the font. I really do not want to watch this, but Alex supports us, so I'm gonna watch it for him. But boy, oh boy, am I not looking forward to this.
Oh, I have seen this one.
Because there is also...
It's, like, notably bad. Oh, yeah, I've seen this one.
There was that movie that I sent you. Hold on.
This one's weird, because I feel like it is, like, Fast and the Furious parody and satire, and then, like, at one point, from what I remember, it, like, just doesn't do that. Like, it, like, becomes its own movie. But that's...
What, Super Fast?
Yeah. I feel like I've seen... I feel like that's what happens at some point. Like a lot of it's like, oh, like, yeah, this is definitely parody, and then, like, at some point in the movie, I was like, wait a minute, what is this? Like, they just, like, kind of bail on Fast and the Furious and it becomes its own movie and then, like, bring it back at the end or something. It was weird.
I've never seen it. But there was the other... Let's see, hold on. Did Alex say anything about it? He says it's fun the whole time so far. 100 minutes of a Fast and Furious movie from the guys who did Disaster Movie.
Yes.
So, you know.
Well, it's quick. That dude, like, if anything, 100 minutes, right?
Yeah, I'll get through it. But there was this other movie that I sent you a link to. It's the 2.5 hour long Thai movie from Thailand, Fast and Feel Love. Did you watch the trailer or did you ignore the message I sent you?
Did you send it this weekend?
No, I sent it last week.
No, I totally missed it.
It's 2.5 hours long. This trailer it feels like a parody. Like, this feels like a loving send-up, kind of like it's about a cup stacker.
Oh, yes. Okay, now I remember. Okay, go ahead. I didn't watch the trailer.
He's trying to do this thing. He's trying to, like, be the fastest in the world at this. But the font and the poster and, like, even, like, there's, like, references to Fast and Furious in the trailer. But, like, the trailer is cut in a way that it feels like it's the entire movie. It feels like, hey, you know, it'd be a funny idea if we did Fast and Furious, but it was about stacking cups. And then we cut together, like, this little thing and, like, you know, it's a short film or whatever. I don't know how this is a 2.5 hour long movie. But I sent this to Alex as he sent me Superfast. I was like... I sent this to Joe. He ignored me. Take a look at this. He's like, how is this a real movie? And I was like, look, you can either fuck one of us over one way or the other. You can either give me like a terrible movie and that hurts me, or you can give a 2.5 hour foreign language film and that hurts Joe. I don't really want to watch Fast and Feel Love, but it's, I think, as on brand maybe as Superfast. But one way or the other, not that either of us are really going to like either of those, but they're geared specifically toward one. So he hurt me more now. Maybe next time I'll hurt you more. I don't know. Or maybe it'll just hurt me again because it's funny.
No, I'm more lovable. People don't want to see me have pain.
I would like to see you do work. They should like true. People out there know that I do all of the work, and they should let me get to do watch the things that I want to watch.
I think based on that, the shorter movie is less work for you. So you're just talking yourself into my argument again. Thank you.
Anyway, well, I mean, I don't want to watch Superfast. I'd rather watch a 2.5 hour long good movie than an hour 40 bad movie. I'd actually think about what you were saying, and no, it's still not true. Then Michael McGann sends in his pick too.
Okay.
And he says, just want to confirm that the $10 plus levels get to pick each lap now. Yes, confirmed. So if you're out there listening, you want us to watch a thing or read a thing or play a thing or whatever. Oh, yeah. And it takes about 2 hours. If you want us to do a thing that takes 2 hours, that's fine too. He says, I would love to still kind of keep to the theme, because again, they can be anything you want. We used to do a theme or whatever, but now it can just be whatever.
Or it can fit with the theme too.
Yes, and so he keeps with the theme. I'm not going to say, but you know the theme for next lap, right?
Yes, I do know the theme for next lap, and I remembered it.
So he mentions a movie that fits into the theme, and I will say it's tangentially related, but it does apply, so that even if we were requiring this... I'm being vague because I'm putting this out. We have not announced the theme yet until next week's pit stop, or next week's tune-up. But he wants to do Ralph Breaks the Internet. Have you seen that? The second one? The sequel to Wreck-It Ralph?
I love the first one. I watched the first one on a bunch of opiates, and it was probably one of the greatest experiences of my life.
Wait, so you love the first one, but have you seen the second one or no?
Yes. And I had such
do you remember the other Fast and Furious connection? That's not this theme? That Gal Gadot basically plays Giselle.
Yep. I 100% remember watching the movie, loving it. Big fan of Wreck-It Ralph. Big fan. Yep. Huge fan.
So, Michael McGann, we will do Ralph Breaks the Internet for you next lap. You got it.
Perfect.
I'm also looking forward to that.
Did you see it? Yeah, you did.
Oh, I saw it in theaters, yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure one of Tobin's friends from college, in his filmmaking class, wrote the first one. I think Tobin's friends with the guy who wrote the first Wreck-It Ralph.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Congrats to him.
I was saying to you that in the last week my TiVo died, which is annoying because all I use the TiVo for is live sports. And so I had to buy new hardware and whatever. Anyway, on the TiVo that died was Tobin's movie that I still had not seen, A Christmas Stray, which was I think a Hallmark or a Lifetime Channel Christmas movie.
Yeah.
So I need to find it online now because I didn't watch it last Christmas because I just forgot. Because I don't check my TiVo's DVR. I'm just the Yankees aren't letting me put it on TV or whatever.
Yes.
By the way, streaming through the Yes Network app, it's so bad. It's nice as a backup, but as a primary way, I'm just this is the most inconvenient thing. I was like, can I do this for an entire season? The answer very quickly was no.
I have the same problem with the ABC app to watch Jeopardy at night, which is like still on hiatus for like summer break or whatever. But like the ABC app for Fire Stick is so trash, and like it's also bad to stream online. And I'm like, how are you guys this bad at this? You know what I mean? Like
The other
it's
thing that's fucked up is that
abysmal.
I'm trying to stream the Mets too. Like if the Yankees are on TV, I want to watch the Mets on my laptop or whatever. They're like apparently SNY is maybe owned by NBC Universal, and I can't get I cannot get the stream to start. Like it just crashes like in private browsing in 3 different web browsers with
Are you
ad block
blacked
on,
out?
ad block off. No, it's just like I'm in the market. Like I'm trying to stream SNY. Like I pay for it. Like I can't even
That's
validate
even
my.
worse.
It's terrible.
Yeah, fuck that, dude.
Yeah, like, it's not like it's like MLB TV works flawlessly, but like if I don't have a
Incredible.
VPN,
Incredible.
It's a whole thing. So
Yeah, MLB
anyway.
TV is like perfect. I know that like that's the backbone that I haven't tried the NFL Plus yet because no matter what, I'm gonna be fucking blacked out of everything anyways. I'm just in the black hole of blackouts. So
But anyway, thank you to Michael McGann. Thank you to Alex, and also
Yeah, good
Justin
picks.
sent in his pick via Facebook. If you want us
oh,
to,
he did.
if you want us to join us or hear us talk about the Forever Purge, no, the First Purge,
Yeah.
the First Purge, not the First Purge movie, but the movie called The First Purge,
Yes. Yes.
which
yes.
I think is like
love
the
these
third or the
movies.
fourth one.
Yeah.
Those all coming at you next lap, but all behind the paywall. That's the other benefit. Like you can pick anything you want, but it's only for the patrons. So if you want to listen to those episodes, toofast2forever.com. Again,
This
even
is a
dollar
nice
month gets you-
spread.
Yeah.
I kind of like how this went already. By the way, just
It's
like
not
with
bad.
these 3 picks, right? Like it's like a goofy thing. You got also a fun movie. Like yeah, and they're like tangential or not or whatever. Great. You guys all did excellent. I like all of them. Thank you. Even if you pick cup stacking, also fine. Probably shouldn't because that's too much work for Joey to watch an extra hour of a movie. Don't do that.
That's not the work. You always think like,
Super-
I watch these movies, that's all the work. I'm like, that's not the work.
It's not any of the work. I know that. I never have said that watching the movies is all the work.
You have
For
said
the
that
record.
before. You said that at least once. Because I remember, because it still it drives me crazy. I'm just like, that's not the work, man. If you think that's the work, oh boy. This was like years ago, though, but it's still stuck in my brain.
Fair. Okay.
That's all the emails. So if you want to email in family@cageclub.me, and we'll read it on the next episode. We have a store, Too Fast, TooForever.shop. Joe, your Pittsburgh Steelers connection has dried up. We have not sold a shirt in the last couple of weeks.
Wait
so.
till this weekend. It was a bye week last weekend. Wait till this weekend. George Pickens is gonna have 4 touchdowns. All of them are gonna be spectacular. He's gonna have 1 through 4 on SportsCenter's top 10 plays of the day.
Oof.
And when that happens, we'll sell a bunch more T-shirts. Actually, I was wearing it when I saw Rachel's family, and they were like, I don't understand this T-shirt. And I had to explain to them the whole thing, and then was giggling with them that, we had an order for a family size bunch of these T-shirts at one point. And they're like, really? I was like, yeah, I don't know, man.
I also do want to say, while you reminded me just talking about sports, that fantasy baseball update, even after the stat correction, forced me to play I know nobody cares about this. I was
ahead.
forced to play my first
I do.
matchup. I advanced. I survived, thankfully.
job.
But the
Okay.
issue now, the other thing, is that by not having the number 1 seed, by being the 2, I have to play the 3, and the 3 seed is like the best team in our league right now. He's like the hottest. He's been the best team the entire back half. So, theoretically, if I beat him, and he said the same thing about me. I don't think it's true about me. My team's fine, but it's fluky. If I beat him, I should have an easier opponent in the finals, no matter who I face. But
Excellent.
1
That's
round
cool.
down, 2 more rounds to go. Only 2 days in as we start this, but boy, it is
Good luck, bud.
a lot of baseball. Thank you. Joe, on the streets, news about the Fast and Furious. Anything you've seen in the last week?
Yes, I've seen one big thing. I'm probably going to snipe it from you, but I would
Is
like
it the
to
thing
talk
that I
about.
posted?
Maybe, or like I think maybe Reaction Rocket tagged us in it or something. It was Jordana Brewster in a replica of her car at her wedding.
Yeah, I posted that.
Just fucking awesome down the line. Did she just get married, or are these
Yeah.
like leaked pictures?
She got married again because she got divorced like a year or 2 ago, and this is her new man. And so they had
Oh, that's
mentioned that they were
right.
going
Now I
to
do.
honor Paul at the wedding, and they did. They got a replica, and like they have like cutouts of them, or on the like decals or whatever on the driver's side and passenger side windows of them driving and riding, and they drove off in it.
That's so cool. Really, really cool. I loved it. It was cute. Made me excited this week, and made me excited for Fast 10 again.
Yeah, only 8.5 months away.
That's not too bad, to be honest.
We should get a trailer theoretically soon.
Pretty
maybe,
soon, I think.
Maybe.
It's gonna be one coming up, and then I feel like we'll get another one at the Super Bowl, probably, right?
I don't know if we'll get a second, because remember when I think we probably have the same conversation every single time
Probably.
we talk about this, but the first trailer for F9 was right Super Bowl weekend. Remember that whole big spectacular? So like we didn't have any trailer until like what was supposed to be 3.5 months before. So we might not get one for a while.
That feels both right and wrong to me.
I
Like,
mean, it feels
I'm not
too
judging
close,
you.
but
Yeah.
history is on our side or whatever. So yeah.
I agree. Yeah, it just feels like it's not like long enough, hype enough. But also, I guess why are you running trailers now for movies? Like maybe Christmas will be a good time to do it, but that's still even far out from summer. I don't know. Okay.
I have no idea. Yeah, because again, like also the movies that are coming out. Well, maybe Christmas is different, but like it's not like it's a war. Like it's not like somebody go and see like an Oscar baity movie in November is going to care about.
Yeah.
Fast 10, right? It'll only be like the Christmas releases. Keep your eyes out. Obviously, you'll see it when we see it. We'll post about it. We'll talk about it.
Amen.
Final thing to do before we take a break is the Fast and the Furious Minute, the Too Fast, Too Furious Minute. Minute 74, a minute I called No More Riding Solo.
So why you let that dude go in L.A.?
Yeah, I think that had a lot to do with it.
When I got busted, it wasn't your fault. It was all on me. Mr. Roman Pierce. Wildin' out, crazy, man. No one can tell me nothing. Riding solo.
Yeah, well, not anymore. Not anymore, bro.
So in this minute, Brian and Roman continue to share a nice moment on the bridge. They talk about why Brian let Dom go. Roman forgives Brian for his past mistakes, and Roman reflects back on his life of solitude. Meanwhile, or then, night becomes day as we cut to Carter Verone's compound. Carter and Monica walk to his navigator and get driven away as the minute ends. And I see you've redacted something here.
Yes. Firstly, not a ton here again, but I got all the cars, so
Cool.
I feel proud about that. There's 3 cars in the scene, but I have something that I want to talk to you about. It's the redacted part. And I'm going to have to backtrack here a little bit. We spent a lot of time last episode, or at least some time last episode, talking about what Roman is eating in the minute, right?
Right.
Like,
It
oh,
sounds
it's
like
gonna
a piece of fruit, but it's not a piece of fruit, or doesn't look like fruit. Yes.
Okay, so to add to your conundrum, he tosses it at one point from his right hand to his left hand, and as he does that, it rattles.
Okay, that doesn't make any sense, but okay.
No. So I was just like, what the fuck could it have been that he took a bite out of like a candy bar or a hot dog and then throws it back and forth and it rattles? You have to hear the like ADR part of it rattling. It's very, very strange.
It doesn't even sound like a rattle. It sounds
A can
like
clinking.
like a can, but like specifically like a can of spray paint that has like the thing inside that like rattles around.
Yeah. That's totally fair. Yeah, I absolutely agree.
Whoever did the sound effects for this minute or this movie in general, I don't know.
Kind of
Not
milled it
good
in
at
a
it.
little bit. Yeah, milled it in at some points for sure.
Weird, but okay.
So that's what I was just thinking about. It's something that when I heard it and like was watching this over and over again, I was like, what the like? Why is it making that noise? And I was trying to see like, can we definitively say it's a candy bar or whatever? It looks like, for the most part, it's like a Snickers or something, right? Like a Three whatever. I don't know what candy bar it is. Payday. And he like tosses it, but to have the like can clink sound there and have it sound like he took a bite out of an apple when he bit it, but also look like a candy bar and then him hold it kind of weird.
It's really weird. I don't know, because it's not an apple or a can. It looks like a candy bar or something that's the size and like consistency and heft of a candy bar or whatever. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah, so that was my one random observation this time that I couldn't wrap my head around, and I don't know what happens.
Is there anything else that you notice of note in this minute? Because there's not a lot that goes on because we're on the bridge for half of it, and then there's like the montage that goes from, I guess, like dusk to morning, and then we're just seeing them walk to the car and then drive away. There's not really a lot going on. Is there anything else that you noticed?
No, that was about it. How about you?
No, there's the new song that starts on the score, Getting Ready for Action. There was another song that either I missed or they didn't include it in the movie or it was layered under too much, but there's something called Miami Sunset, which seems like it would have been used in that scene with Roman and Brian, but I didn't hear anything. Because like that's one thing that I'm obviously listening for because that's one of my like quote-unquote responsibilities for the minute, like just the songs. And I didn't hear anything, and I don't know. It's not like you keep an eye on it or an ear on that. Specifically an ear, not an eye. But like, I don't think, you remember hearing anything either this minute or last minute of them on the bridge?
Not really.
I mean, I know it's probably going to fade away and you're not going to really remember it, but like, it's mostly just them talking. Like, there's no, it's weird. Like, it's weird that there's not, but like, they wrote a song called Miami Sunset that's on, like, there's a thing that I'm linking to in the doc that's just one YouTube video segmented up by, like, it's like hour-long YouTube video or whatever, which is the entire score.
Yeah.
And so there's one called Miami Sunset, so you can hear it, but I don't think it's in the movie, or if it is, it's just like a beat or whatever.
They needed to take it out to make sure that you heard that good can rattle and apple bite.
I guess so, yeah. Because if this was happening, you would never hear those wonderful, wonderful sound effects.
Exactly.
The question I came up with is another easy one. I know that the last one we did was pretty easy about what's not an excuse Roman uses, but like, again, there's not a ton that happens. But did you have any questions other than the one that I wrote down that you would think of for this minute?
I had one. I had like an expander for yours.
Because the one that I have is a true-false. Roman forgives Brian the time Roman got busted. And the answer is true, but it feels like I don't know if he ever explicitly forgives him, but he does.
He does. I was gonna do like, who does Roman blame for going to jail in this minute?
And the answer is himself.
It's himself, yeah. It's not Brian anymore. It's not like being hungry. It's not like his cousin or like we can make whatever up. Like he finally blames himself. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
That was my only, and I had seen yours because I was like, I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen here. So I looked at yours, and like I used yours and kind of flipped it.
Do you have other believable? Because I can't think of any other believable answers other than Brian or Roman.
Brian, Roman. It could be like Roman's brother, crooked cops. You know what I mean? Like any of these. I was hoping for better ones. Those are just like the first two that I had, and I think we could play it, but no, not necessarily. Like it's gonna be a Brian. Like you're either gonna pick Brian or Roman, right?
Okay, so then let's just leave it as it is then.
That's fair. Totally okay.
On. If you're like, oh, like this name, that name, whatever, like I'd be happy. Like we could change it, but like we know that Roman doesn't have family. At least we don't. I mean, he's never said it before, right? So
yeah, and he can't like blame Tej. It's too early for stuff like that. Right. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
like not Bilkins.
The other thing is that I will say that what I mentioned last minute about forgiving or why they let Dom go is what's discussed here. That is that why you let that dude go in L.A. And he says, I think that because about him feeling guilty about not helping Roman when he could have helped Roman or whatever.
Yes, and that's what like makes Roman pivot to be like, look, dude, this was my fault anyways. You know what I mean? Like I know that it's not a big deal.
So minute 74, no more riding solo. Roman forgives Brian for the time Roman got busted. True or false? The answer is true.
Not a bad question either, because like he's bitching the whole time that Brian didn't do enough for him, right?
Yes, and he even blames him earlier in the movie, right? So it's like he clearly blames him. Does he ever forgive him? The answer is yes. Yeah. In minute 74. And no more riding solo. If you missed it in the minutes, he goes, "It was all on me, Mr. Roman Pierce, wild and out crazy man. No one can tell me nothing, riding solo." Just like, I was dumb. I was young, dumb, and on my own.
Full of cum.
Yeah. Anything else to say about this minute?
No, I don't know where they go next. I think I was reading the location things to try to find out where the location was, and I don't know where they go next, so I'm curious to just see where they go, because like my brain again is disconnected. I can't.
Yeah, I mean we're in the end game here now, right? Like this is going to be them doing the job, doing what Carter hired them to do, and trying to usurp him and whatever, and make the cops happy. So
yeah.
But let's take a break and let's come back and let's talk to Nate about F9.
is episode number 259.
Nope, 255.
255, sorry. F9, The Fast Saga. This episode is brought to you by Magnet Forensics. Magnet Forensics has built a global reputation of excellence, reliability, and trustworthiness. They offer modern solutions for digital investigations. Shout out to Magnet Forensics.
Well, shout out to Magnet Forensics. Welcome back to Too Fast, Too Forever. With us tonight, teased in the opening, we have patron of the show, friend of the show, friend of the family, family member, Mr. Nate Milton. Hello, Nate.
Yo, Joes. It is good to be back. Although I think, you might be using that term family a little too generously because there's an issue that the three of us have, and I didn't mean to air our dirty laundry. I didn't mean to tell tales out of school, but for two guys who are supposed to be my friends, you've come on my show, I've come on your show, we've had good times. Why did it take me this long? Why did it take me this long? Why didn't either one of you tell me what peligromenos means?
I was going to say, I don't know where this is going.
I know, yeah. I was like, what did we do?
I thought you were going to blame us for not encouraging you to watch this movie when we've seen this movie entirely too many times since it came out. Although it did feel, I don't know why, when we watched Fate and Hobbs recently, I was just like, I feel like we just watched this today for some reason. With this one, I'm just like, I haven't seen this in a while, even though it's been equidistant since the last one. I don't know what it is, but we're back here again with F9, closing up the Fast and Furious portion of Lap 11 with F9. And Nate, it means landmines. So sorry that we didn't tell you earlier.
Yes, I had to learn the hard way.
Well, you were racing home from work and you were like, we need you here. Just don't worry about the peligromenos. And you're like, all right. And somehow you got through it, I hope, without blowing up the car. Is your car intact or did you hit a landmine?
I did hit a landmine. My car flipped in the air, fell on top of me, but I'm still here. So maybe I'm invincible on this microphone.
Well, that is good to know. Maybe we're invincible. Now, here's the question. Did you watch the theatrical cut or the extended, the director's cut?
I wanted to watch the extended cut, but I ended up watching the theatrical cut, and this is the first time. I was telling you guys off mic. This is the first time I've seen F9.
Yeah.
And not because I wasn't interested in the film or not because I didn't want to watch it. It was basically the same reason I chose to watch the theatrical cut, and it's just time. Like the last year, kind of going back to work and getting back to normal. Like even finding time to watch a movie, like I don't have the time that I had a year ago or 2 years ago. And so it's like, I really want to watch F9. I want to see it. And then kind of the moment passes for F9. Like when everybody's in the F9
for
sure,
yep.
Yes. And then it just kind of passed, and I'm like, well, I'll watch it eventually. And then it becomes, I guess I'll wait for the Joes to invite me on the show. Then I can watch it.
Well, so what's interesting about the extended cut is it's 7 extra minutes. The most interesting thing I found is that by redeeming, I bought the 4K, and so I redeemed it on Movies Anywhere or whatever, it's on Prime. So I have both copies on my account that I can watch for free. For some reason, the genre for the standard version is action, but the genre for the director's cut, that's suspense, baby. I don't know why they're different genres. I wouldn't call this a suspense movie. I mean, I guess it is, but
those 7 minutes are really suspenseful.
I guess so. So you mentioned that scene. You mentioned you alluded to the scene where Roman's like, maybe we're invincible. In that scene in the director's cut, Tej quizzes Ramsey on old technology for about 90 seconds, and it feels like the most mansplaining thing.
Yes.
And it's just like, oh, we don't need that at all. There's some good stuff.
Saw that this time.
There's good stuff between Letty and Mia in Tokyo, but it's a real grab bag, the extra 7 minutes.
In the Mia Dom scene is cut too, right? That's the one you're talking about.
Yeah, there was an entire scene cut between them that early on where, why does she show up? It's like, oh, there was a scene where they talk about her going or her not going or whatever. Yeah, there's a handful of scenes that are just added or whatever. I would say compared to other director's cuts, it's more worth it, but if you are looking down the barrel of a 2-hour and 22-minute movie and you're like, do I want to add another 7 minutes?
Yes.
I get not wanting to, yeah. But I'm glad that you finally did watch it. Now, do you have, we didn't prep this, but do you have updated rankings? Or if you want to, where would this fall? Did you like this movie? Did you not like this movie? Was it disappointing? Was it a surprise? How do you feel about F9?
I have a lot of conflicting thoughts after watching it for the first time, and it'll probably take a couple rewatches to kind of nail down where I feel about this, how I feel about this movie. I like it. It's Fast and Furious. So it's going to take a lot to put me off of this franchise. So I liked it. I think I like it more than I liked Fate, especially the first time I watched Fate. It also kind of feels like it's way too stuffed for a movie that is already like pretty lengthy, as you just alluded to.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And it's like we're doing the greatest hits, and I love all the greatest hits, but also could we have less greatest hits, please? I love Han being back. I love the banter between Ludacris and Tej. I love, the seeing the crew from Tokyo Drift, pop up on the screen. I love all of this stuff. But we also have 20 flashbacks to get to, which explains to us why John Cena and Vin Diesel are brothers in this universe. Mm-hmm. And it's like we get Helen Mirren, we get Jason Statham at the very end of the movie. Like there's a lot of good stuff. It's just too much. It's like in my college days, guys, I can tell this story now. I'm a wise man. I'm not a college kid anymore. But there would be times in my college days where, I would have too much of a good time with my friends and, too much beer or, there was one random night, Joey, where I may or may not have eaten an entire Domino's pizza by myself.
It happens.
And in the moment, I had fun with that Domino's pizza, but afterwards, I'm just like, I could have used about a third less of that Domino's pizza.
I mean, you're saying that happened in college. I'm saying that might have happened to me this summer once or twice. Like, who am I to throw stones in this glass house we call life? I will say, though, to that point, so like whenever I start one of these movies, like any movie, I open up the Letterboxd page, because I'm going to log it on there, and I'm looking at the Letterboxd page, and I don't know what it was about it, but I look about halfway down the cast list, and there's Anna Sawai, who plays Elle, the girl that Han takes care of. And I'm just like, and this, I see her name in the opening scene when we're still on the farm, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, Jesus Christ, this movie is sprawling in a way that I think mostly pulls off. But like compared to like the next time we watch a Fast and Furious movie, we'll be back in the original one. And that's all in Los Angeles. It's like 7 characters we have to care about, and like half of those we don't really need to care about. Yes. And
one of them dies.
Exactly. Anna Sawai as Elle is like 15th banana. And she has an entire emotional arc in this movie that, again, I think they mostly pay off. But I'm just like, they have to time jump and location jump and story jump and all this stuff in a way that I'm just like, these have gotten so big. And we're never going to get back down. But I was just like, like just seeing her name, it made me realize the breadth of what they've done. And I think, again, in an impressive way. But I was just like, man, this is so much bigger, especially as we like trudge through the Too Fast minute, where we're just minutes go by where they're just standing on a bridge talking. It's like that never happens really anymore.
May I offer a bit of a script rewrite for a movie that I've only seen once that has made all the money in the world?
Yeah, definitely.
Would this movie have been better if we had just had Jacob and Cipher as our villains? Like, did we need Otto? Like, does Otto serve any purpose to this film?
He's just like their linker, I guess, right?
I think what's tough about that question, Nate, and this is where I want to get, I know that this is all sort of new to you, but we're now closer to the release of Fast 10 than we were to the release of this movie. So we're closer to the next one than we were to this one. So, we keep looking forward because we've talked about this movie 6 or 7 times, and I want to hear what you think about this. But I'm also curious to see where you think we go from here with only 2 more main movies, because like Otto, it's hard to judge him, I think, because I don't think he's a great character, but if he builds to something in the next 2 movies, I'm more inclined to give him a pass. We keep talking about Cipher in these episodes because, like, Cipher was the main villain in 8 and just jumps out of a plane, and then we're like, okay, cool, she's back in 9, here we go. And then she doesn't really do anything here either. And it's one of those things where, like, I think the movie could be better without Otto, but like if Otto is the son of blah blah blah, cousin to blah blah blah, and like it's this like grand world building thing, then I love it. But like for now, yeah, he's kind of lacking.
But you're just adding more people now.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. But that's what these movies do.
Yeah, I know. But I was just saying it's really funny.
They're not killing people. Again, like this, we've talked about it before, but like there's that dramatic thing where like they're in space talking about like, this is what we do with all this different, and there's the dramatic music. I'm like, who's gonna die? And then no one dies.
I have a question for Nate. We all know that Nate is a big DJ Dewey fan. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about having a movie with no The Rock but John Cena?
And The Rock's partner, Jason Statham, too, right? Like, this is like the things
Yes.
that we surround him. Like, we'll never talk about this on the Rocky Maivia Picture Show, I don't think.
No, there is no reason for us to talk about this on that particular podcast. Maybe we'll get something in 10 or 11 that can bring us back for the last lap, fellas.
I hope.
I think John Cena, like, if you're not going to have The Rock and you can't get Batista because he's in another universe,
Yeah.
I think John Cena's the next best thing. And John Cena's actually not bad in this movie.
No, he's pretty good, I think.
And I think he has kind of and it's going to sound very damning with faint praise because everything he does, I think The Rock does better.
Sure.
That's
but
fair. Yeah.
That doesn't mean that Cena's not good at the physical stuff. It doesn't mean Cena's not good at, being a badass or not good at, having some funny lines or bringing some emotional resonance. Like, I think Cena's best moments, his best two moments, are the moment where he and Dom fight on the, when he's going down the zip line. Like, I think that fight is a really good fight. But then my other favorite Jacob moment is at the end, where Jacob and Dom talk and Mia comes up and hugs Jacob. Family, I guess. Like, yes, come on, Jacob. Take the car. You're in the family now. So I think John Cena did a pretty good job in this film.
Yeah, I think we talked about this early on. We haven't talked about it in the last couple of times, but there was so much made of it, like, Jacob is Dom's brother. Dom, why'd you never tell us you had another brother? But, like, there's so much that, like, he's Mia's brother, too.
Yes.
And I think
Yeah.
the Mia Jacob stuff is more emotional and affecting than the Dom Jacob stuff in
Because he's just
different
mad
ways.
at his brother. And she's like, oh, I was still contacting him. I was keeping tabs on. Yeah, I agree. I agree with you.
This movie did a good job of, and they kind of telegraphed it, but we knew where it was going anyway. Like, this movie did a good job of introducing a villain just to give him a babyface turn by the end of the movie. And the fact that, like, it almost got comical at a point where you killed Dad. No, I was just doing what Dad told me to do. Why didn't you tell me? Because Dad told me I couldn't tell you. And if I told you, you wouldn't let me do it. You got to leave. No, you have to leave. And it's like, like, I get it. Like, we don't come to these things for great Shakespearean quality writing, but if I were going to be pedantic, I would say Shakespeare wrote stuff like this in his day for the masses. But I like that Jacob is not an out and out mustache twirling villain. Like, everybody.
Yeah.
I think Otto is like one dimensional. Cipher has maybe an extra dimension that she didn't have in 8, but I'm still not sold on Cipher, even though we love Charlize. But Jacob, I like Jacob a lot by the end of this film.
Are you happy that he ends the film in the family, or are you wishing that he was, in 10 still going to be a villain? Or at least, neutral?
I think knowing, and again, this goes back to wrestling, right? So if we've got 4 weeks to the pay-per-view, and in this weird analogy, 10 and 11 are our pay-per-view.
Sure, yep, okay.
And the goal is by the end of the movie, hopefully we have all of our big heroes together, including Statham and The Rock and John Cena side by side with the family. If that's got to happen, I can't have Jacob being a villain in 10 because we've got to get this babyface run going.
Yeah.
And so from that standpoint, I get it. I maybe would have liked less of a clean break at the end. But that being said, I feel so much of this movie, or so much of Jacob's character in this movie, for me, works not because of anything Cena or Vin are telling us about these brothers' relationship, but it's about what Mia is to these two men.
Yeah.
I think there's, I would have liked more Mia and Dom scenes. I would have liked more Mia and Jacob scenes because to me, she is like the glue trying to hold this family together while these two big buff knuckleheads just want to fight and destroy a city.
Now, I don't think he has any wrestling background, but what do you think of Jason Momoa as the big muscly villain in 10? You on board with that?
I am on board with that. I think Jason Momoa has the kind of presence, right? Like, he's got that on-screen presence. He's got the physicality. He's also got a charm that you need if you're going to be a fast and furious villain. Like the Shaws, when we first met the Shaws. Like, was it Braga? Yeah, like you've got to have a little bit of style, a little bit of flair if you're going to be a fast villain. And so I can see Momoa kind of fitting into this world. And just to have maybe a scene where he and The Rock and Vin Diesel are squaring off, like, come on, that's like fantasy booking 101.
Because there was something that we were trying to figure out. Well, who do you add? Now that Jacob is family, who do you add? And it didn't even cross our minds. And as soon as they announced Momoa, we're like, oh, of course. Perfect. Why would you not?
Yeah, that's a perfect answer.
It's amazing. But I want to go back to, I had that Momoa question geared up, but I do want to go back to what you were saying about Mia. Like, we love Mia, and I think that Jordana Brewster, as an actress and as a character, got so short-changed, and this is, like, again, a shitty way to talk about it, but, like, by Paul Walker's passing, they didn't know what to do with her. And so they're trying to make up for lost time, and, like, she's so good. She's so good as an actor and, like, in these movies. And I'm glad, like, I'm glad to hear you say that you like the scenes with them and you wish there was more, because, like, she's the heart. She's, like, what keeps the family going. And it feels like a lot of the time they just don't know what to do with her, really.
Yes, and I would say, like, as a viewer and as a fan of these films, Mia is my least favorite character. And the reason I say it that way is, like, when I'm listing, like, who do I like in these films, it's, you know, it's Dom, it's Brian, it's Han, yeah, Tej, Roman even. And I've got thoughts on Mr. Roman Pierce in this film. But Mia just kind of gets that short shrift. Like, it feels like out of the women, the only one that gets her due is Letty. You know, because we could say, like, I think Ramsey is finally in this film, maybe Ramsey finally gets something to do besides just being the object of Tej and Roman's affections. Yep. But Mia should be a more central character in these films, particularly after Paul's passing, because even though the character of Brian is still alive in this universe, like, Paul Walker is gone. He's not coming back. And the core, like the central figures, Letty, Dom, and Mia, like, that should be the core of your films, with the rest of the family kind of rotating around that nucleus. And the way she walks into that room and tells Dom, you know, like, Jacob is my brother too. Like, why was I not, you know, let in on this? Like, I think we spent a whole movie full of flashbacks and you couldn't give me one. At least not on the version I saw. Maybe it was in the 7 minutes you saw. But there wasn't one flashback with Mia and Jacob, if I'm remembering correctly.
I don't think there was in the
race
extended
together kind of situation, but it's not like them. It's just like they're at the race standing there.
I do love, like, I don't remember if I had the same thought last time, but that flashback, I know that you're not crazy about the Shakespearean aspiring dialogue, you know, early on, maybe between the flashbacks between Dom and Jacob, but, like, that race when Dom gets out of jail and rolls up in what's time shifted by a decade the wrong way, right? Like, it should be 99, but it's 89 for no reason or whatever.
Yes.
But that scene is so goddamn good. Like, the soundtrack is great. The characters are great. Like, I want more of that world. Even though they're characters that we know, like, I think the fondness I have for them is, like, is nostalgia for the early movies. I think that the way, like, all the details that they have in those scenes, in that one scene in particular, are so good that I'm right there with you, Nate. Like, I would love to see flashbacks of Mia and Jacob, or just, like, you know, when she visited him in that year or two before he, like, really left or whatever, right? Like, I want more of that, because the casting is so good, I think, and the performances are good, and the feel is good, and I just love the Mia character so much.
Like, now, I think now you're making me like, because I one of my problems I was going to cite with this film is I don't know if I like Kid Jacob, and I don't know if we're meant as the audience to like Kid Jacob, but the fact that Kid Jacob, when he loses that race, keeps driving as Dom laid out the deal, like, that shows some honor, that shows some respect on Kid Jacob's part that I think I missed, you know, when I just watched it yesterday. It's like there's a deeper story here that I want more of, but also I don't want more of, because there's so much other stuff we got to get to in this movie.
I think that's the thing. It's like, do you want, like, because I think you can look at this movie as glass half full or glass half empty. It's like, there's so much to like here, but it's also nothing is really paid off. And it's like, are you more forgiving of the fact that they don't really pay off a lot of the threads because there's so much that they want to cover? Or are you frustrated by the fact that there's too much and that you don't really get payoff? Like, it's just, there's a lot of good stuff, but, like, are you happy with that, or do you wish that they focus on fewer things? I think both viewings, both readings are very valid.
And I'd say for the most part, I'm happy. Like, for the most part, I had a good viewing experience. The highs outweighed the lows for me. Like, seeing Han, knowing Han was coming back from a year ago from when the trailer came out, and point of clarification, like I have not listened to either of the episodes that you guys have done, or either that's not the
We've
right
done
term.
like 7 of them.
I was going to say like
entirely too
all
many.
of
Yeah, no worries. Yeah,
I haven't listened to any. That's the word I was looking
Good.
for.
Yes,
any
yes,
of the
yes.
episodes that you guys have done on this, because I didn't want to get spoiled.
Sure.
I wanted to wait till I watched the film, and so I'm thinking like Han's moment of showing up is the moment like in the hideout from the trailers. I'm thinking like that's the first time we meet Han in this film, but it's in Tokyo on the rooftop, and it's the first time we meet L, and I'm like, oh, that is not what I expected. I was waiting every time they walked into that hideout. I'm like, is Han coming around the corner?
Yeah,
Is this when Han comes around the corner eating a bag of chips? No, Han shows up on the rooftop in Tokyo taking out people, and I was like, this is amazing. Like and that was also a good scene because we got Elle and Mia and Letty just like kicking butt.
all fighting. Yeah,
Just a great scene, and having Han back was really cool. And I think I got oddly emotional at the very end where he meets up again with Twinkie and who's that guy?
Sean.
Sean.
Earl.
I keep
Well, Sean and Earl's there too. Yeah.
yes, and Earl. When Han, Sean's like, I didn't think I heard you were back, but I didn't think you were real. It's kind of like when I played Pee Wee Reese and I told Jackie Robinson racism was over. This is the same kind of thing, Han. Watch me on NCIS New Orleans every week on CBS. But like when he hugs Sean, like that was an oddly emotional moment because, like you guys, I have probably a lot more love for Tokyo Drift than the general public, and so seeing our Tokyo Drift crew get their like little mini reunion in that scene, it felt good.
Well, one thing that we always criticize these movies for, and I think I realized what we should be actually criticizing, is that we often talk about how these movies don't respect or don't seem to care about their own history. Like, Joe made the point an episode or two ago when we were doing the Too Fast Minute where Roman is talking about, flashing back to the first movie and talking about, like, Brian letting him go or whatever. Right? Like, that's in the scene that we've been covering the last couple minutes. What I realized is it's not the Fast and Furious. It's just explicitly Chris Morgan. Because Chris Morgan did not write the first 2. He starts at Tokyo Drift. He goes through 8 and then goes to Hobbs and Shaw. So this movie cares so much, and I think in a good and a healthy way, about the franchise's history.
Yes.
And Roman references the first movie and the second movie because that's not Chris Morgan. Chris Morgan's the one who wrote most of these movies, and yet he never references back. He's always moving forward. And I think there's an issue of getting stuck in the past, but there's a difference between getting stuck in the past and just like acknowledging that the past exists, which he doesn't do. So I think, Joe, what we need to start criticizing is just Chris Morgan, who is gone from he's on the Hobbs and Shaw side now. If there ever if there's another one, because this movie does feel like a throwback in a weird way to that scene we're covering right now, the Roman and Brian on the bridge scene, because it's like, hey, we know that things happened in the past. We're going to talk about it. It's like, yeah, we want that.
And it's so unnatural that they don't, like, right? Like, if this is a group of people that are a family, there's no way they wouldn't be like, okay, do you remember when we did this thing? Mm-hmm. Like, that's just very, very natural. So, like, why don't they add more of those? Like, it doesn't need to be hammered over your head or in your face all the time, but just, like, acknowledging it, like you're saying, like, specifically that word. Just acknowledging that there is a past that they were all part of and that they did stuff together is totally fine. And, like, we'll take that. Thank you.
Like, we always make the comparison to the Avengers movies, with the Fast and Furious. And it's like, you don't have to become a prisoner to continuity and a prisoner to the history of the franchise, but all of these Marvel movies find a way to have a nod or a throwback or a reference to events that have happened in the shared universe. And I think that's the kind of thing where if you aren't familiar with the mythology, it doesn't turn you off. But if you are, just like that scene with the Tokyo Drift guys, like that can mean so much to somebody that's followed all of these films.
The Marvel movies do that in a way that is both, I think, incredibly difficult, but also feels frustrating because we see it every time. It's like, okay, so this Doctor Strange movie has to acknowledge the last Doctor Strange movie and the Spider-Man movie that just happened, while also telling a story.
WandaVision.
And
while
WandaVision.
also, WandaVision, while also setting up, the next Doctor Strange or the Avengers or whatever. And it's just like, you
And
can't have a good
introduce
movie
America
like that.
Chavez.
Exactly. If any Fast and Furious movie did that, I guess this one mostly does. We would be like, oh my god, but like Marvel does it every time, and it's tiring because it keeps happening. But here, it's just like, no, you're not even doing the one. You're kind of doing the future one. You're mostly doing the present one. But we've never had all three until now, and that's, I think, why it feels cool, like surprising, refreshing in a way that like Marvel always does it. But here, it's just like, oh man, like this is new for us.
Yeah, like we should be gearing up for lack of a better term, the end game for this universe. And so
The pay-per-view, baby.
Yes, we were almost to the pay-per-view. We were getting close to the go-home show. Like little bits like Helen Mirren showing up and there being like this shared history with her and Dom. Like I dig things like that. And I think there's a way to do it without just like looking at the camera and like, hey, remember last time when we did this? That was crazy, wasn't it? Like there's a way to do it where it feels organic. And so, yeah, I loved seeing, I love seeing the reason why Mia and Letty had to go back to Tokyo, or the reason why Tej and Roman had to go seek out Twinkie and Earl and Sean, or the reason why Dom had to go talk to Helen Mirren, because they're up against this threat that they haven't faced before, and most of them didn't know existed, and that's Jacob.
We did an entire lap of trying to make sense of like where Jacob was. Like, do you have any guesses? Any like, this is all make believe because there's no right answers, no wrong answers. Where do you think Jacob's been in the 20 years that these movies have been happening that we haven't seen?
I mean, much like the man who portrays Jacob, you can't see him.
True.
Oh.
Very true.
Art imitating life. But here's the thing. If there is one, I mean, I've got a couple critiques, but if there is one critique that kind of stuck with me after my first viewing of the movie, and maybe it gets better on subsequent viewings, you guys would know better than me, it's trying to track the timeline of Mr. Nobody's organization. And what went on with Jacob, also what went on with like the faking of Han's death and Shaw. Like there's so many moving parts that after a while I just kind of threw up my hands and like, let's just go with it. Like I can't sit here and try to make a flow chart of who joined the secret organization when did they turn rogue, when did they fake their death, when did they come back? Like I just like, okay, I'm here, movie. Just tell me the story you want to tell me, movie.
I feel like, and Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like after like the second or third viewing, we're like, okay, cool, we got this down. And then as time went on, I like lost that thread and got confused again. And now I don't know when anything happened.
There's so much of it, and we were trying to figure out what the times of the year, like what years it actually was supposed to be, and stuff like that. And we got hung up on that for a while, Nate, because the first movie comes out in 2001, and this movie says the flashbacks take place 11 years before that.
Yeah, this is set in 1989, and the characters are like 17, 18. But in the first movie, they should be like 22, 23 or whatever. And I think it was in the fourth movie that we basically, when we see Letty's fake gravestone, everything kind of gets time shifted up 3 years. So like, if this takes place in 99, it's perfect. It's flawless, exactly what it should be. But for some reason, it's 89. So then in the first movie, everybody's supposed to be 32. Like, it's a weird, it doesn't, like, Mia is in high school in the first movie.
They say it, yeah.
And so with that in mind, she's either a 28-year-old high schooler or she's supposed to be 4 in the flashbacks in this movie. So it's like if you unpeel the onion too much, it kind of loses everything. But
so this is why I got this. This is like the major timeline that like I get hung up on now. Like the Mr. Nobody stuff. I'm like, okay, like that doesn't even seem as egregious as this can be.
Were you hoping for more Mr. Nobody, or were you like pleasantly surprised that he wasn't in this movie? Like, what's your take on like him basically kind of being a plot device, but not in this at all?
I thought we were going to get some more Mr. Nobody. Like, if anything, like maybe just Mr. Nobody, like driving by the barbecue at the end, just tipping his cap and going on his merry way. Like, we didn't get any acknowledgement that Mr. Nobody was safe in this movie, which I guess is to kind of misdirect us like maybe Mr. Nobody's dead. Mr. Nobody's not dead. He's just hiding so that he can make a triumphant return in 11 and or 10 and or 11. Like that's the classic, again, the classic wrestling thing. You know, wrestler gets injured. He's on the shelf for like 9 months, and then there's a Royal Rumble or there's like a big event. And wait a minute, is that Mr. Nobody's music? He's back.
Now, in wrestling parlance, one thing we've talked about is a possible heel turn for Mr. Nobody. Do you think is there any chance in your eyes that he could be a villain?
There is. I don't know if I want that, though.
I don't think we want it either, but we're afraid of it. The same way we're afraid that Han was going to be bad in this movie, I think we're setting ourselves up for this beloved family member to turn against the family. I don't know if he's a family member. He's family adjacent. He's like a friendly neighbor.
He's a friend of the family.
He's somebody you call Uncle Nobody, but he's not an actual uncle.
That's fair. Yeah, very fair. I like that. Yep.
Also, like now you've got me going down this Mr. Nobody, whatever this organization is called, rabbit hole, because Ryan Reynolds is part of this organization too.
Yeah.
Kevin Hart may be part of this organization the next time we see him in this universe. Like, there's a lot going on. With
Ms. Nowhere from the animated Spy Racer series. She's in this too.
Oh, wow. Yes. Okay. Yes. Is Brixton dead, or is there a chance Brixton could show back up again? I don't know.
I think Brixton, if he gets out of that bottle that he's trapped in 3,000 years of longing, or beats that lion or whatever in Beast, I think he could come back.
Oh, God.
Just bring everybody back.
Yeah.
What if Beast, like at the end of Beast, he was like a cyborg, you know?
Ooh,
like
so it's a prequel.
Back.
I mean, I was thinking this week, and it was before it was I mean, I guess I'm always kind of thinking about these movies, but when we were doing our preview for this movie, Nate, like before we saw it for the first time, I was like, what if they crossed over with Jurassic Park? Because, both Universal properties, we always have these ideas that, like, maybe Transformers, maybe this, maybe that, whatever. When we see this in theaters, there's all the trailers, and then it goes black, and then there's a new trailer for Jurassic World Dominion or whatever. Mm-hmm. But we didn't know it was a trailer, and it just says on the bottom, like, 65 million years ago. And I'm like, holy shit, they did it. I was right. And then it's not. But, like, I was like, oh my God.
It was like an extended trailer for Jurassic World that, like, played before this, and we were, oh my God. Yeah.
But, I mean, just with that said, crossover anything. I'm welcome to everything and anything.
If The Rock wasn't already in G.I. Joe, I think that could be an interesting G.I. Joe Fast and the Furious crossover.
I think he should just play both characters. That Hobbs doesn't come back, but he's the G.I. Joe character, right? Just have him come over.
Hobbs has actually been roadblocked this whole time undercover.
Yeah, that also gets Channing into these movies.
Yes.
That gets for us. I agree.
The guy from Crazy Rich Asians in this movie. I don't remember his name, but the guy from Sneak Eyes. It could really open up, and like those,
we could bring Marlon Wayans into this universe.
Oh my God,
it's what we need the most.
We already have Tyrese.
Oh, can you imagine the Marlon Wayans Tyrese Gibson banter?
I know. I think that Joey would explode though. Like it would just spiral so comically. Like he'd be like, I can't take this seriously at all.
I go up and I'm riding a Roman high right now.
Yes, let's talk about it.
I hated him in 8. I like him now in 8. I like him mostly in this movie. It's he's not my favorite. I'm not looking forward to the Roman scenes, but they don't annoy me like they have in laps past. So neutral to slight enjoyment is better than I've been.
Yes, I think I like Roman better in this one than I did in 8. I think there are still some of the Roman is never going to get back to what I think is like peak Roman, like 5, 6 Roman. Like that to me is like peak Roman. Because that was Birthday Party Roman, right?
Yes.
That's in 7. Yeah.
Okay, so I'd say 5, 6, and 7. That's like my peak Roman. I think in 8, Roman just went off the charts. In 9, I think they dialed him back slightly. Like there's a weird, again, talk about oddly emotional or not even emotional, but like oddly sentimental moments. Like when Ludacris and Roman. When Tej and Roman are floating in the space in the Pontiac Fiero, and they're just like, imagine this, man. 2 kids from the ghetto, we made it to outer space, man. It's amazing what you can do in this life. And I'm like, that feels way too deep for this Roman Pierce that we've had the last couple movies. But I could see Roman Pierce from Too Fast saying that, and so I think they're trying to merge our Romans, but I definitely like this Roman a lot better than I did in 8.
And it feels like, and I didn't notice this till the last time we watched it, but again, it caught me off guard here that Tej says to Roman, "Don't you dare shart in here." And I'm like, why are you saying shart? Like, that feels, nobody should be saying that in a movie, but like, it feels almost more like a Roman line than a Tej line. I just don't want it in here at all. Like that, why don't sully the Fast and Furious movies with shart?
No, don't cheapen our entertainment.
Come on, this is cinema.
Tej did get a little looser in this one, and maybe that's because of the Ramsey influence.
Maybe.
Like, I feel like we're kind of past the, even though there was a little bit of that in this one, I feel like we're past the reverse Betty and Veronica, for lack of a bit. Like, I don't have a modern reference for a love triangle. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I guess would it be like something from Grey's Anatomy, or like, okay,
I mean, we can say the upcoming Harry Styles film My Policeman has a love triangle in it.
Okay, see, I was gonna go with a newer reference, but still pretty old. But it's newer.
I mean, okay, so here you
Archie
can call
comic.
it Betty and Veronica thing because
Well, here I've got. So this is, in this scenario, Ramsey is Kelly Kapowski.
Okay.
So
we're in the 90s now. Okay, so slightly updated. Okay.
Ludacris is AC Slater, and Tyrese is Zach Morris.
Okay.
That's where I'm at with this.
I was gonna say you can do Betty and Veronica because Riverdale is still huge. Like, they're back in the zeitgeist. True. So that's a more, unless you're talking about like the new Saved by the Bell reboot, in which case we're just rebooting everything, right? So just
I haven't watched any of the new Riverdale though. I've watched maybe one episode and that's it.
I do think that like I think you're right that they've moved on the romantic conquest, and now it just seems like Tej and Ramsey are friends busting on Roman.
Yes. I agree. I 100% agree, and I
think
that
we
so
might
much
get
better.
some romance down the line, but I think that like the tension, like they got enough juice out of that orange that they were going to get in terms of the guys fighting over her.
And I really like it better them being like, maybe they wind up together as like friends that become companions, more so than like just watching Tej and Roman being like tripping over themselves to flirt with her. It plays a lot better in my eyes. It feels less weird, right? Like if they like wind up together, like if like Tej and Ramsey just like, hack themselves into the sunset or whatever, then that's fine by me. But it was like the competition and the like that stuff that was like, okay, I'm over it.
I mean, maybe as the franchise transitions into more queer visibility, maybe they go into ethical non-monogamy. Maybe they go into a throuple. Maybe, Joe, you've talked about before, and you've been shamed by Nico about your misuse of the word like harem and like whatever. But like maybe they get into a loving, polyamorous relationship.
Maybe. Okay. Maybe they're just all just one couple. Yeah.
Because Roman and Tej, if they're going to die in space, you think that they don't kiss? You tell me they're really not going to? They're the only people out there. They're not going to kiss.
I don't think so. Just because I don't know how they released that movie in like China. Right?
Well, we don't see it. I'm just saying on screen.
Also, they can't really take off their helmets because then they'll explode, won't they? I don't know how space works in this movie.
I don't think they know how space works in this movie sometimes.
Like, there are so many things that I think if you're this deep into the Fast and Furious universe, you just have to check some things at the door. When you go into the movie theater, like physics, math. Even though Ludacris kept mentioning math, you got to check that at the door. A grounded sensibility, like you kind of got to check that at the door when we're looking at a movie where magnets can control everything.
No, actually, magnets only control certain things in this movie, which is one of my biggest gripes about the magnet things. Is like the car doesn't like get attracted to a building; just everything from the building flies out.
Nate, what did you think of Cipher in this movie? Given that she's kind of barely in it.
I mean, obviously, we all love Charlize.
Yeah.
We have to give her credit for the upgrade in choice of hairstyles.
Oh, you like it better? You like this one better?
I do. Like I like the kind of sexy Pete Rose look she's going for.
Okay.
Look out here looking like a pretty shortstop for the Cincinnati Reds.
We've been calling it the Karen, but I like the sexy Pete Rose more.
Sexy Pete Rose is so much better.
Charlie Hustle out here. It feels almost like Cipher is having more, or Charlize maybe, is having more fun in this movie despite having far less to do. There's more personality in this version of Cipher, like just the way she constantly kept setting Otto up just to cut him down with her remarks. I thought those were pretty funny. And this is why I kind of wish we didn't have Otto in here. Like, I understand he's a plot point, and maybe he leads to something bigger in one of the subsequent films. But give me Charlize Theron and John Cena on screen, like, in more scenes. That's what I wanted. Because I thought their one interaction they really had was kind of funny. But I wish we got more. Like, and they did fake me out because I thought, like, at the very end, I'm like, did they kill Charlize in that plane? And then it turned out to be like, nope, this is just like that.
Drone.
Yes, the drone. This is kind of like the end of Fast and the Furious where the gold people were flying the planes, and the Guardians of the Galaxy when the Guardians killed the gold people in the planes, but they weren't really killed because they were doing it virtually. Like, okay, we see you live to fight again another day, Cipher. See you next movie.
Is Cipher the big bad, or is there someone yet to be revealed that will be above her? Is she going to be the main, like in the pay-per-view analogy, is she the final fight between the family and her, or is there someone else that you think we've not yet met?
I would like it if Cipher was our ultimate big villain or our ultimate top heel in the territory. But I think being Fast and the Furious, she will likely be the main villain until a bigger villain usurps her in 11.
And then she joins the family.
She has to join the family.
Of course.
Because why not?
Now, we mentioned earlier, speaking of villains and conflict, we mentioned earlier no DJ in this movie, but if you stuck around in the credits, did you see the scene where Statham
He said
emerges?
it, yeah.
You did, okay.
Yes.
What do you think, because this whole movie was teased with Justice is coming, and justice was not served. Han is back, but the conflict between him and Statham him and Deckard only shows up in the credits, and it's wordless, right? Like, what do you make of that? Is that going to come to terms in 10? Are they cool? Like, are we supposed to accept that they, hash it out off screen? Like, for a movie that promises justice is coming, there's not a lot of justice to be found here.
No, not a lot of justice at all. I think, well, I'm of two minds about this. I think it would be really interesting if a lot of what we got in 10 was about Han and Deckard, but it probably won't be because we've got a lot of stuff to tell in 10 and 11, and I don't know how much real estate they're going to give to that story.
Yeah.
Maybe if we get another Hobbs and Shaw, like we could have Han in there. Like, I think that'd be a cool wrinkle to the dynamic. I'm also kind of still confused about all of this Mr. Nobody espionage stuff, because if Shaw didn't kill Han, are we as the audience still supposed to be mad at Shaw?
I feel like we're supposed to be mad at Dom for killing a guy who didn't kill his friend, or trying to kill a guy who didn't kill his friend.
Yeah,
that's an exaggeration. I understand that.
Why should Shaw be like at the end of when Han shows up at the door? Like, Statham's not scared because Jason Statham doesn't do scared, but he's got a concerned look on his face. Why should he be concerned if he didn't kill this man in the first place?
Well, okay, so let's walk this back. So,
yes, please help me, guys. Help me understand
in
this.
6, Owen Shaw takes on the family. At the end of that movie, he's hospitalized by the actions of the family. Correct?
Yes. Correct.
Start of 7, Deckard, a character we are introduced to in the credits scene of 6, who has ostensibly killed Han before Han comes back in the end of Tokyo Drift, which is retcon number 1. Well, I guess it's retcon number 2, because retcon number 1 is putting Tokyo Drift after 6, but whatever.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
retcon 1A. Deckard vows vengeance on his brother for trying for the family trying to kill him or putting him in the hospital. So he kills Han and says, "Toretto, I'm coming for you." Ostensibly kills Han. So he tries to kill Han.
Yes.
I don't think he's wrong in trying to avenge his brother, but we also don't want him to kill our family.
No.
But it's family for family. So at the end of that movie, he gets thrown in jail. He and Hobbs are enemies, become, begrudging friends. They spin off and whatever. So the moral of the story, by me saying things that we already all know, they're both right and they're both wrong. I think we're mad at Deckard for trying to kill Han. But it's like, I guess you can still get mad at somebody for attempted murder, even if they're not charged with actual murder, right?
You can, for
That's
sure.
fair. That's fair.
I mean, unless this is the Ashley Judd film Double Jeopardy, which I feel like, based on nothing, I feel like that might be a Nate Milton favorite. I don't know why. I just feel like maybe Double Jeopardy is a Nate Milton favorite. But, can he be accused of the same crime twice?
and here's the thing, like, obviously, we all of us, I think I can speak for the majority of your audience. Like, we all love Han, and we all thought that the way Shaw was kind of brought in and embraced by the family, it felt kind of off. Because, this is the guy that at that point we believe killed Han. That's why I need more Mr. Nobody, because Mr. Nobody, you got some splaining to do, Mr. Nobody, because I need you to tell me how you cooked up this plan and hit Han and this and that. Like, we need to go back to the Matrix days where there was just all of this ancillary content, comics and movies and video games.
So you want an animatrix for the Fast and Furious?
I need the Fast and Furious animatrix. I need the video game told from Mr. Nobody's perspective about how he's actually been the one pulling the strings all these years.
And I feel like that's something, like, I understand why you do this, but we had 5 or 6 seasons of Spy Racers. We had Fast and Furious Crossroads that are in this universe but telling their own story. But I do kind of want, the Rosencrantz and Guildenstern of what's going on. I don't know if we're going to get that before 10, though. We might just get that after.
The more we talk about this, though, and I hate that you may be right about this, the more we talk about this, Mr. Nobody might end up being the big bad. Much like Mr. Sinister, for anybody that reads the X-Men comics, like Mr. Sinister, always trying to manipulate what was going on with Summers family and the cause of a lot of their pain and turmoil. Mr. Nobody, he's helping us out. Mr. Nobody's helping out the family. But he also is the one that, like, got everybody into this spy game. Like,
and puts them in bad situations all the time. Like, danger. Puts them in danger.
Here's the other thing that we've talked about. He knows Han is not dead.
And he never told them.
He still drives the family to try to kill Deckard in 7. Like, he shows up in 7 to help the family take down Deckard, even though he knows Deckard didn't kill Han. Like, what's going on there? I know that's all retcon, that they didn't have that planned at the time or whatever, but still, how do you read that?
Mr. Nobody's the bad guy. We've cracked the case, boys. We've done it.
I guess then the question is his entire organization evil, or is he a rogue agent within the Nobody organization?
I think the entire organization's evil, and I think that what's going to happen...
Even Ryan Reynolds?
I think it's like that they're just, like, doing their job, you know what I mean? But, like, he's at the top, the organization's evil, and I think what's going to happen is that we're going to find out that, like, everything that Charlize was doing was actually for the good.
Oh, wow.
And like, the family kind of flips instead of, like, her joining the family type situation.
She did kill a woman that had just had a baby, though. That's not good guy behavior.
That's
true. If we're doing a Star Wars analogy, because I feel like that's maybe the most common archetypal, there's, like, Palpatine at the top, and then there's Vader. Yes. Is Ryan Reynolds a stormtrooper, or is he above stormtrooper?
Ooh.
Like,
he's
how
like stormtrooper to me.
He's stormtrooper, okay.
Yeah, that's...
Okay, so then the question is, do we know Palpatine, or is he still to come? What level is Mr. Nobody at? What level is Charlize, is Cipher at?
Mr. Nobody is going to be at the top, if not... Like, he's going to be at the very top, or, like, one down from the top. And Charlize is on the complete other side. Like, they're opposition. Like, Charlize and Mr. Nobody, them working together would be the most surprising thing to me.
Charlize is Mace Windu.
So we in this analogy, we think that the family is Jedi, but they have in fact just been conscripted by the Empire, and we don't know that we're working for the Empire.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. And Cipher is a rogue Jedi, or just a third party or something, and she's going to convince somehow the family that who they're working for is actually evil all along.
I think the other way. I think that they're going to discover that Mr. Nobody's evil and turn and be like, oh shit, Cipher might have been right. And then
unite with Cipher.
Yeah. More so than she convinces them.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that would be a twist.
That's what I've been playing out in my head lately, and I think that's how it's
Well, there's levels. There's so many levels to this.
It makes sense. It's kind of like all right there. Like, those dots would connect pretty easy, right? You did bring up that, like, why would you kill Elena? Like, that's something we have to overcome.
Like, not cool,
if Cipher is a true third party, like a neutral agent, if killing Elena is in her best interest, she's not aligned with either side.
The good of the universe, right?
Yes.
For the greater good.
Yeah, for the greater good. Like, she needed Dom to help do this. And, like, that was the only way to do it. She just didn't know that, like...
Because I think her as a third party makes the most sense, because she just doesn't value anybody's life but her own. So she's really like a rogue assassin.
Chaotic neutral.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the family, at the end of the day, the family have to be the heroes. You know, like like our guy, evil regional NASCAR racer said at the beginning of the movie, the Toretto's always got to be the heroes. I think the family's got to be the good guys. Cipher can do the right thing, but I don't think Cipher is quote unquote redeemable because of what she's done. But I think she will help if nobody is like the Palpatine of this whole thing.
Now, when you say she's going to do the right thing, we just covered Inside Man. Are you talking about Spike Lee's do the right thing? Is she going to do? Are we going to get Sal's Pizza in the?
Yes, she's going to own a pizzeria.
Cool.
And Dom be like, "How come you ain't got no brothers on the wall, Cipher?"
All right. Okay. I see it. So it's not really a redemptive arc for Cipher. It's more that, I guess it kind of is, but it's more like the family realizes and then has to appeal to her better judgment.
Yeah, that they were kind of being duped by Mr. Nobody, and that although they were saving the world for evil, and in like one last hurrah, they switched to Cipher's side, take down all of the nowhere, nobody, no one situation organization.
Well, I don't think they switched to Cipher's side. I think their motivations are aligned in that moment.
Yes. So then, fair. Yes, that's a better explanation.
Where in this analogy is Etion? Is it with the Empire? You know, not good. Is it with Cipher as a neutral? Is it a separate neutral, or is it not in this universe at all? Because Hobbs and Shaw will never cross over.
I think it's evil, or it could go either way. But I think it's evil. I think it's evil. And
do you think Etion is working with Mr. Nobody?
That it's like a shell corporation underneath the nobody, nowhere, know-how group.
Because if you remember back to Hobbs and Shaw, Nate, there was that voice of the Etion director who was voiced just because they didn't want to cast an actor. The voice was done by Ryan Reynolds. So we were like, I thought it was Charlize, but it turned out it was actually Ryan Reynolds doing the voice just because they didn't want to like burn Keanu or whatever. If that was actually Ryan Reynolds, then that would align the existing Mr. Nobody organization with Etion, one and the same. But that's just a convenience of casting fitting into like the convenience of storytelling.
Much like we've been using the wrestling analogy a lot tonight, boys. I feel like sometimes in wrestling you stumble upon a story.
Yeah.
And then you retrofit it to make it make sense.
Sure.
There's been times where, a guy will blow a spot and it's not what was scripted in the match, and we'll just turn that into a story going forward. Or, somebody will say something in public, or on social media, and that gets turned into a story because so many people are talking about it. And I think, there's a way you can kind of retroactively put all of these pieces together to make them make sense and make them like this really intriguing, like this really has been a saga. You just did not know it. You thought this was all about racing cars and selling bootleg DVD players. This is bigger than this, Joey. This is about the government and the secret shadow organizations within the government and about free will and all this other stuff that the Fast and Furious has been trying to teach us for years. So this is you guys, you're not just doing a podcast talking about action movies. You guys are really letting the people know about these hard-hitting topics that are being revealed and being explained through media, and you should be saluted for that.
Joey, you haven't asked Nate our main question yet.
For the lap?
Yeah.
I didn't have one. I think I was pushing up because I don't really know who to pick. But
what?
Nate, I mean, there's a lot of options, but I wasn't thinking about it while watching this movie. But Nate, all lap long in every episode that we've done, because this is the heist lap, because in between these movies, we're watching heist films. From each movie, we are each picking a character we think we would want on a heist job. If you don't know the job it's going to be, but just you need to take down a heist, you need to rob a bank or something like that. Which character from this movie do you want on your team and why? Joe, you seem incredulous that I do not have a pick. What's your pick? Who's your pick for this movie?
There's so many good picks in this movie, like so many.
And I think that's the issue that I was having. There's too many. Like everybody's super heroic at this point.
Super heroic, doing lots of actions. I gotta go with the only person in this movie that actually completes a heist. And that's Queenie.
Ooh.
I took Deckard last time. I think Queenie can keep Deckard in check. She has the connections. She actually walks out of a store with a necklace. She drives Dom around. I think that she's the perfect pick for this movie. Although there's great other picks.
Nate, who'd you pick?
Queenie's really good.
And it doesn't have to be necessarily someone who's been
anyone,
better in another movie. If you're just like, I'd love this Dom from this movie. Like, I think Dom was better in 7, but I love him here. Like, you can pick Dom. Just like from this movie, which character portrayal do you think you would want on a team?
Yeah, Queenie's really good. Obviously, any of the family, this is what they do. They would be good in a heist situation. We saw my boys. I don't even know what to call them anymore because they've switched their names so many times in these films.
Oh, Leo and Santos?
Yes. Like, I think at one point they were like Tego and
Rico and Tego.
Yeah.
A little bit.
But I love those guys, so it was good seeing them for a little bit. But there's only one answer here, and I am incredulous that nobody has picked this man yet, even though we've only had one person pick. It's Jacob, man. Like, it's Jacob.
Jacob's a great choice.
I didn't even
It's
talk
a
yet.
great choice.
Yeah, I agree.
Jacob all the way. Like, as Jacob said, this is my world. Like, if we're doing something, a heist, Jacob has the physicality, Jacob has the intelligence, Jacob can drive, Jacob can shoot. He's got connections. He looks good in a suit, like that scene with him and Dom. I'm like, okay, John Cena, you getting a little flossy out here.
Yeah.
Jacob is the guy that I would have for my heist team. He's also a guy, and maybe I'm getting too literal and real world with this. Jacob's a guy that can blend in anywhere because Jacob is just like a good-looking, handsome white dude that you can't. Sometimes you can see him, sometimes you can't, but he's a good-looking, handsome white dude.
I was going to say, how is a guy who's like 6'5", built like an upside-down pyramid that's like 260 pounds, all muscle, how is he going to blend in? But I guess you're right.
Yes, because here's the thing. Like, I'm planning for every heist, right? So like we're doing some upscale heists, we're doing some heists out in the countryside, we're doing some heists overseas. That there might be places, given historical factors, where if I bring Tej or Roman, we might stick out in a heist situation.
That's so terrible.
That's all I'm saying, fellas.
It's so terrible that it's true.
I have to think of all of the eventualities.
I'm looking at the list of people that I've picked. So just movie by movie, here is like the Fast and Furious movies. Here, Joe, here's who you picked, just as a refresher, because this is the last time we're going to play this.
I have the list right in front of me, yeah.
You got Vince, you got Tej.
Yep.
You got Brian from the fourth one, because we put 6 later. We put Tokyo Drift later. Then you got Mia.
Yep.
Then you got Dom.
Yep.
You got Uncle Kamada.
Yep.
You got Letty.
Yep.
You got Cipher. You got Queenie. Oh, you got Deckard in between there. In Hobbs and Shaw, you got Deckard.
Yeah.
And I took Letty. I took Jimmy. Somehow I won with Jimmy. I don't know how that happened, but I won with Jimmy. Then I got Dom. Got Leo and Santos. Ja. I have a weird team. Han. Mr. Nobody. Ramsey, and Hattie.
Ooh.
And I think there's a lot of good options here. I think that's the issue that I was having. I'm going to go with someone I have not picked yet, but it is someone that you picked already, Joe.
What?
I'm going to go with a man, as far as we know, the only member of the family who built a working spaceship. I'm going to go Tej, because not only can he build a spaceship with the help of some friends and family, but he also fly it, too. And I feel like he's going to be able to get by with a little help of a little bit of duct tape. So Tej with a roll of duct tape in his back pocket.
Some numbers, a calculator, maybe.
Or just like a Casio watch or something with a calculator function.
What, like a slide rule?
Yeah.
Even if he had a slide rule.
I think that just about anybody, by this point, anybody, like if you want Roman, you can take Roman. I mean, I don't think Roman's the pick, but Roman could be the pick. If he is invincible, like he goes through that entire gunfight, doesn't take a bullet.
Ramsey's a great one this time. I liked Han. None of us have taken Han. Han comes back to life and was like saving Elle. Elle is a great one.
I love young Han. I think this Han is so interesting because he's a Han that has lived like all these years protecting this girl and like honing his skills and basically living a solitary life. Like, I want more from this Han.
Yeah, I think that there's just like, there were so many good options this time. This group in 9 is probably the best heist team. Right? Like, overall. Do you guys think this? Joey, do you think this? Like, 9, like, they're all so fucking good at everything.
I agree, and I think it's annoying how good they are. Like there's something to the scrappy group of underdogs that you're like, I want to root for these people. Like here, the stakes have been raised. They are dealing with
extreme.
bigger threats, right?
Yeah.
But they have to because they're all perfect, right? They're all as good at everything as they possibly can be.
Yep, I agree.
Nate, did you have any other thoughts about F9? Because we got a couple games, or at least one game to play. But any other thoughts you want to share about this movie in particular? What are you hoping for in 10?
Yeah, a couple final thoughts about F9. Again, like I said, even though I have some quibbles with the film, for the most part, I enjoyed it. I definitely, at this point, like it better than I like 8. It's not going to crack into like the top 5 with that run, like 5, 6, and 7. To me, that's the perfect sweet spot.
Yeah, here's what we got really quick. Your rankings from top to bottom right now, as you gave to us when you ranked, I think, for Too Fast, maybe. You got 5, 7, 6, 4, 2, 3, Hobbs, 1, 8. So you got 8 in last place, which still seems like it's going to be there. So you put this somewhere in the middle, but not necessarily above Tokyo Drift. Somewhere.
Yeah, this is definitely over Hobbs. I think I would put this on par. What did I have right before Hobbs and Shaw?
Right before Hobbs and Shaw, you had Tokyo Drift at 6 and Too Fast at 5.
Okay, no, I don't like this more than I like Tokyo or Too Fast, but I do like it more than I like Hobbs. So kind of right in that middle area.
Sure. Okay, got it.
But yeah, so I enjoyed it. It was good. It was good fun. I think this movie would have done better with a little bit of streamlining. Like maybe you could have a 90-minute version of this movie that's a little tighter, a little more focused, and then we put everything else on like the director's extended cut, where it's really an extended cut because we're giving you like 45 minutes more movie.
So what would you cut? Because you need to cut sort of significant. If you want to trim this down to like under 2 hours, you need to cut significant stuff. Like what storyline or storylines?
Han coming back, pretty much for me at least. Sorry to interrupt, but like
that's how they sold this movie, though, man. Like that's
that's how they sold this movie. But I don't think you need if you're streamlining it.
I get it.
Yeah, you'd cut that out. You cut out.
I think we've got too many escapes and captures. Like I think we could do with one less escape and capture. Because I think the family get captured twice in this movie, maybe even a third time, and they escape each time. Like even though it's a fun scene, like the Cardi B scene where Cardi B and her squad breaks Dom out, like that's fun. But is it necessary? No, I get it. You want Cardi B in the movie. Cardi's great, but I think you probably could have cut back on some of the flashbacks. Did we I love Michael Rooker? Did we really need to go visit Michael Rooker?
No. Twice.
Yeah. So I think,
but also it's the same kind of thing. Like you're going to cast him, so just don't write that character in, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We're totally deleting this. It's like it just never happened. This is what you got.
Yeah, I think there's some ways they could have tightened it up a little bit, but I did enjoy it, and I think this was a good Dom movie because I feel like Dom. He's he's a great character. We all love Dom, but Dom can kind of feel one note and cliche at times. And this is no shade to Van, but I feel like putting Cena in the mix here, like we got a little different vibe from Dom. We got a little more from Dom, and as a kid who grew up in a religious household or a spiritual household, Dom, when he's fighting the armed forces of Otto, and he does the move where he brings down the entire section of that facility on himself.
Oh my God, I know.
It was very much like Samson, let me die with the Philistines. I'm going to destroy myself, but take down all of my enemies. It was okay, you know what? At this point, yes, Dom is superhuman. He can tear down buildings with his bare hands. He can run through walls. I like this movie, and I think on future watches, I'll probably like it even a bit more than I do right now.
So now here's the next question. Momoa, we know in 10 is a villain. Jacob no longer a villain. Jacob part of the family. We got Brie Larson in some unnamed role. Maybe good, maybe bad. We got Daniela Melchior, rat catcher from Suicide Squad, in some unknown role. Maybe good, maybe bad. We've got a couple other characters. We've got the guy who plays Jack Reacher in the new Jack Reacher TV series on Amazon Prime. Maybe good, maybe bad. I don't know. The movies are not getting smaller. We're not losing any characters. Han still there. Statham, Deckard, there now too. What happens in 10? How do we balance even more stories, even more characters, even more maybe family, villains, neutral parties? What do we do in 10, Nate?
I think we kind of talked about it. You know, I was originally of the idea that Cipher was our main ultimate in-game villain, but
Yeah.
maybe the only threat that is worthy of standing up to the family is like a negative or inverse family. And that family is led by Mr. Nobody. And we've got Momoa. We've got Captain Marvel, of all people, in this franchise with Brie Larson. We've got, you know, we've got because the family's an all-star team at this point.
Yes. Yeah.
So you can't just come out on the court with a average team to play these all-stars. You got to get your own all-star squad put together. And I think the more we talk about it, the more, even though I don't want to see Kurt Russell play the villain, I think he'll kill it. I think he'd enjoy it, and I think you could have a lot of fun with an evil version or a negative version of our family facing off against the real family.
Now, do you think that is too similar to what they did in 6 and then also with Dom going against the family in 8? Or is this like a remix, like a positive spin on like stories we've already seen?
It is similar, but I think it's a little bit different because you're combining them, right? You're combining the betrayal of nobody, much like the betrayal of Dom.
That's a great subtitle. Just the betrayal of nobody. It's like, what does that mean?
Betrayal of
like, oh, you know what that
nobody.
means.
It's
You
a
know
great
what that
book
means.
title. Great book title.
This movie's going nowhere. I think, you know, you
It's
combine
going nowhere fast.
Ooh, yes, we did it. Call Universal. We've got their tagline.
Yeah, we know that you've already shot the movie, but we got the new title, we got the new story.
Yes.
Just give us a call.
Like, Justin, we got the Joes from the Fast and Furious, Too Fast, Too Forever on the line. They got a tagline for you. I don't know why the person talking to Justin Lin sounds like he's out of the 40s.
Also, Justin Lin, if you don't remember, no longer associated with the film. He left. He quit the production. So we got Louis Leterrier.
Oh, I did not know that. Oh, wow.
yeah.
You didn't know
So
that?
this
He quit,
was
like,
his last film.
First week
No,
of
but like the
shooting,
week-
he quit.
yeah.
He quit the production. Could not
He
deal
was
with
there.
one Mr. Vin Diesel.
Wow.
He was on set. They were shooting the first week, and he goes, this maybe isn't for me. And
You
left.
should watch.
Oh, wow.
If you can, I'm sure it's on YouTube. I'm sure people have saved it. Vin Diesel put up an Instagram video, like day one here on set.
Hype video.
What do you think? What do you think? And it looks like Justin Lin is being held hostage. He's like, "What do you think, my man?" And he's just like, "Yeah, it's going to be pretty good, pretty good."
He's like, we're working.
And then,
Wow.
like 3 days later, Justin Lin leaves as director, staying on as a producer, looking for a new director to get Louis Leterrier of the Transporter films. But yeah, he is no longer attached.
Oh, wow. Like, how bad must that experience have been for Justin Lin? Like, one
That's
of the
what I'm
names
saying.
synonymous with this. Like, people were clamoring for him to come back, and he came back, and like, Justin Lin's back. And now Justin Lin's like, you know what? I unlike Tom Brady, I should have stayed retired from this particular project.
Yeah,
Like,
unlike
all right,
Tom
I'ma head
Brady
out.
taking 11 days away from the team to hang out with Giselle and fix his marriage, he's like, I'm going to go fix my marriage, on its own.
Oh, so that I did not know that. So that is you're getting my genuine first reaction to that news. So that throws a wrench in some things, because I feel like if Vin has more power, then maybe that means we're not gonna get Dwayne, which is, to me, to the detriment of the next two films.
Oh, yeah, we think Vin is the guy, for better or worse, in terms of power, not in
and
terms
we
of like
also
what we
think-
want.
At this point, that we're not going to get more Dwayne. Just based on everything he said and like the last like little brother, big brother comments on Instagram. I
Yeah.
think, and then like The Rock came back out and was just like, yeah, Vin can just dick off.
Yeah, because we talked about on here, and I think on your show too, that we thought it might be like wrestling, like they're separating to like give the people what they want, like, oh, this is like, it's all theater, but it doesn't feel like theater anymore.
If you have somebody like a Lin there as maybe the mediator, you could maybe get the guys to play ball for the sake of the film and the franchise and the fans and their own pocketbooks and their own self-interest. But if we're in a world now where, and it's not to say anything really negative about Vin. Like, Vin is, for better or for worse, he's been the heart of this franchise. And for everybody that loves the franchise, you got to kind of give credit to Vin for getting this thing going. But to not have The Rock back in this, I think is a huge mistake because
I agree.
He
I don't
added
think he
so
will.
much.
That's the like it's not a huge mistake or something like that. Like I just think that The Rock's like I'm big enough that I don't need this, right? He's Black Adam's coming out.
And I think if there was somebody in the middle, like The Rock would play ball. But if it's like I'm going to Vin's world, like much like Jacob told Dom, you're in my world now. Like, nah, I got better things to do.
Well, because the other thing that we have heard is that Dwayne has talked about that when Hobbs and Shaw was in theaters, they greenlit a sequel. And we've heard no news since then. But in the last 6 months or something, Dwayne has come out and said he's got ideas. He's got an idea for a story so that his character can ride off into the sunset. So whether that means he's going to retire as Hobbs or kill Hobbs off or whatever, it feels like he is now in control of this character in a way that, like, I don't know if Vin has control of I don't know. It's this weird give and take, push and pull that nobody's really happy.
So yes, that you give me a lot to ponder, a quarter mile at a time, but kind of taking out all of that information into context of what I want now from the film. I still kind of want that big final team up, but knowing that we're not going to have the whole team assembled, it does. It's kind of like, and for anybody that's of a certain age, when you had video games, sports video games, where players didn't sign the licensing agreements for their respective sports, and it's like you're playing with the Chicago Bulls, but instead of Michael Jordan, it's like dribbling up the court, it's Malik Jackson. It's like, why does he look exactly like Michael Jordan and have all Michael Jordan stats, but he's Malik Jackson? Or when John Dowd was a character in a Major League Baseball game because Barry Bonds wouldn't sign off on the agreement. It's like, okay, like we're having fun, the team's here, but a big part of the team's not here. And, you know, I think not having DJ there, it definitely could affect things. Another thing I'm kind of worried about, and we hadn't talked about this part yet, how do you guys feel about the fact that we are still in this universe existing as if everything is cool with Brian? Because I don't know how I kind of felt about that mid-credit scene where Brian's car pulls up down the street. I'm kind of like, I get it. There's part of me that likes that, but there's also part of me that's like, why promise something that you can't truly pay off?
So they're trying.
Yeah.
Is the answer. Is it like, from all accounts, like they're letting Paul's brother come back to somehow bring Paul Walker back to the franchise. That's always what his family wanted too, by the way.
I don't think I want him back. I think that the way that he left is so perfect. I'm just glad that Mia is back, that they figured out a way to get Jordana Brewster back in the movies without being like, well, she's got to be with Paul. She's got to be with Brian. Yeah. We can't have her back without having him back, and he can't come back, so she can't come back. It's like, no, she can be here. He's babysitting. That's fine.
I did like that. Like, that's a plausible, like, Brian's babysitting the kids because he's somebody that can protect the kids. Like, I like that. Even though it's like, I understand what you're saying with the brothers, but and again, all respect to the family and their wishes, but it's like, just as a viewer, speaking selfishly for myself, I don't think you get better than the way they sent him off in 7.
No.
Correct. But Joe, you want him back.
No. I'm firmly in the camp that, like, I'm fine without him being back. Even this is gonna sound really shitty. Like, even if you have to get rid of Mia too, like to prevent them from trying to CGI bring back Paul Walker through his brother, which I think can go terribly wrong. I would rather have the other way, which is like, it sucks, but we have Mia come back when she's not babysitting type situations. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, it's fucked for her, but like, it works better to me.
You putting a lot of faith in the powers of CGI, which, as we've learned, like, and I love the She-Hulk show. Don't get me wrong, but they got She-Hulk out here looking like a PlayStation 3 sprite on the screen at points, because CGI is tough, man. VFX is tough, particularly when you got people that are overworked and underpaid for the services they render. And so we're not just doing something to make it look like Paul Walker for 2 seconds. Like, if this is a Brian that's actually going to interact in this world, that's a lot of work, man. And it could be a situation where you kind of get like that uncanny valley effect, and I don't think that's the way people want to remember Paul
Agreed.
or this character.
That's my biggest fear, that you totally nailed it. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Yep.
I think what I would be okay with if we keep extending the pay-per-view analogy or the Endgame analogy. Remember, like in Endgame, when all of the MCU characters come through those portals and it's like everybody's here? Like, we have this vision of everybody, like Suki shows up in a car, Leo and Santos show up in a car, everybody's in a car. If Brian's one of those, love it.
Okay,
But if Brian's
fine.
like a central character, too much.
Yes, I like that a lot now. The way you just described that, like, yeah, if we see his car and we get a glimpse of, the CGI version of Brian, like, I'm cool with that. You know, he can ride up right next to my guy that was the street racing king of Havana from 8. like they can ride up together. But like anything more than that, I think like if we need actual scenes, particularly with Mia or with Dom, I don't know if it can work.
I agree. Wholeheartedly. Any other thoughts, Nate, about this movie or the future?
I mean, I had fun with it, like I said, and I'll definitely rewatch it. I might even, splurge and treat myself and watch the extended director's cut to get all those glorious 7 minutes that you've experienced.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hopeful for the future of the franchise. You know, hearing the news about Justin Lin makes me less hopeful, but I'm still hopeful that you've got a lot of people, Vin included, right? Because I don't want to make Vin the bad guy in this, but you've got a lot of people working on this franchise that love this franchise, that really care about their characters and care about the story and care about the fans to a certain extent. People like Tyrese and Ludacris, Michelle Rodriguez, like people that love this franchise and want to do right by it. So I'm hopeful that they can kind of land the plane in the next 2 films. And then I don't know what's next, because this thing makes way too much money to disappear forever.
Yeah.
So what's the next phase of the Fast and the Furious universe?
I think what is interesting, we have not talked about this yet, is that for a while they were saying this is going to be the end, 2 more movies. We haven't heard them say that in maybe 2 years.
You're right.
That doesn't mean that's not what they're thinking, but they're not saying this is the end anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You're right.
Oh, maybe we
if
get
it was
a time
like the
jump.
beginning or... Yeah.
Maybe we get a time jump, fellas, between 10 and 9 and 10, and then little baby Brian is all grown up, and he carries on the mantle.
We've always pitched that the people from all the kids are just the next gen.
Yes.
And by the time that they get old enough that they'll just reboot it from the beginning with Baby Dom, Baby Brian.
I think that is something that is nice and understated about this movie, is that it does not take place immediately after 8. It is the natural 3 or 4 years later, and they've settled into a life, and Baby Brian is no longer a baby. He's a 4-year-old or whatever. I think that's a very nice logical jump, and I think we need to maybe go more than just the 2 years since the last movie came out. But if we go 6, 8, 10 years, I just don't need a Endgame 5 years later. Very dramatic moment, just set up in the future.
I mean, we kind of had a little Endgame illusion where in Endgame, spoiler alert if you haven't seen Endgame, Steve and Natasha and Bruce ride up to Tony Stark's rustic cabin that he shares with Pepper Potts and their daughter. And in this movie, Tyrese and Ludacris and Ramsey came in peace to talk to Dom and Letty at their rustic ranch out in the middle of the woods. So it kind of had the same vibe.
Truly. Joe, do you have any other thoughts about F9?
No, I cut all mine in. But
Then
that was
let
great,
us
actually.
play This Ain't No 10-Second Race, a.k.a. Boy Do We Have a Podcast for You.
Boy, do we have a podcast for you. Come and check out our show. Yeah.
So, Nate, this is the game where we go on twitter.com, a.k.a. the Bird app, find a tweet from anybody who's not listening to our show, and we tweet at them from the @TooFast2Forever account. So, Nate, please go on Twitter and find a tweet and send it either to me or to Too Fast, whichever way makes sense to you. Maybe send it to me, or it doesn't matter. I'll find it either way. And we're going to respond to them from the account, just somebody maybe tweeting about F9 or the franchise or Fast X or whatever. But while you do that, and Joe, if you haven't found one yet, while you look, I'm going to review last episode where we had Kate Araldson on to talk about Hobbs and Shaw and how they got the science wrong. I found last time BEA at Abernathy. No, Vanessa as Tally talking about Hattie Shaw. I just collapsed. And there's a video of her talking about Hattie as a different character. And we said Hattie Shaw is the best part of this movie. Vanessa Kirby can do no wrong. Boy, do we have a podcast for you. I thought I got a like. We did not get a like, so swing and a miss, 0.
Okay.
And Joe, you found Flip at Mr. Flippy616. I don't care. I love Hobbs and Shaw. And a picture of Hobbs and Shaw. And we said, we totally agree. This movie is a blast. Boy, do we have a podcast for you. And I thought you got a like too, but there's no like there either. So I don't know what I'm picturing. I don't know what happened, but 0 for 2.
Okay.
And then Kate found Dr. Philip Lee at Dr. Philip Lee 1, watching Hobbs and Shaw, Citizen Kane can kiss my ass. We said The Rock has so many more muscles than Orson Welles. Boy, do we have a podcast for you. And Kate got no points either. I really swear that night
kind of likes, yeah.
we got 2 likes. Like, I think you and I each got a point. But as of now, no likes on any of them. So swing and a miss, 0 points across the board. Now, I found a tweet. Nate, did you find one yet that you want to play?
Yes, I just sent one to you.
All right, let me find it. Joe, can you please hit us with yours first?
Yes, I'm going with Low, a.k.a. Christopher Tracy, at Heir to the Throne, or Heir to the Prince, sorry, at Heir to the Prince. Finally watching the last Fast and Furious movie, F9 might be my favorite. Dom being a dad is amazing to watch. I want to say something about, and Letty being a mom too. Hashtag family. Boy, do we have a podcast for you.
I'm saying don't forget Letty as a mom, too. Boy, do we have a podcast for you.
Perfect.
Nate, please hit us with yours.
Yes. So the one I hit you with, Joey, is from at Rich_LB fan. No, this is not the same Rich fan that I've done shows with on Post Wrestling, for those wondering. And Rich said, wait, ... John Cena was in F9? 4 question marks.
Perfect.
How do you want to respond to Rich? Also, by the way...
We didn't see him either.
We didn't see him either. Yes, you stole it from me.
So now I don't know why this is the case, but John Cena randomly follows a bunch of different people.
Yes, he follows me.
He follows Rich, too. He does not follow Too Fast, but he follows Rich. He follows Jason Dickinson. He follows a bunch of people we follow. He does not follow us, though, and I don't know why. He follows 433,000
his
people.
DMs have to be shambles.
Oh, I'm sure he has like somebody. I'm sure he's not actually looking at Twitter ever. Why would he ever look at Twitter? He's got people to look at Twitter for him.
Yes, I'm sure he's got like a ton of people. Like anybody that remembers that great classic WrestleMania entrance where John Cena mimicked Eminem at the VMAs with all the real Slim Shadys, and there was just an army of John Cena's coming down to the ring. I'm sure those guys are the ones running John Cena's Twitter account.
I found Fast and Furious at FF_countdown on Twitter. Fast X is only 8 months and 10 days away. Hashtag Fast and Furious, hashtag Fast X, hashtag Fast 10, hashtag Sung Kang, hashtag Tyrese Gibson. And a picture of Roman sleeping on Han, Tyrese sleeping on Sung.
Is this like a robotic account that just like tweets every day that says how many days are left?
I don't know. They're followed by Reaction Rocket. It's not, you know how like on bots now on Twitter it says like this is an automated account? Does not have that. What I am saying to this FF countdown, we can't wait. When do you think we'll get a trailer? Also, boy, do we have a podcast for you. I am going for the lowest hanging 5-point reply fruit I can possibly imagine.
That's fine. Try it. See if it
I
works.
don't think it's going to work because this game never works.
Nope.
But if it does, that's an easy, probably 6 points. So for the like and for the inevitable like and reply. But, you know, I've had no luck in months playing this game. Maybe this entire lap. It's been bad. But, you know, it's not been bad. Expert transition there. This episode, Nate, thank you so much for joining. Thank you for racing home from work to join us for this and to finally watch F9 and talk about it with us. We really appreciate you being here.
Yes, I always got time for the Joes, even if my schedule is busier now that we are quote unquote out of the pandemic. When in reality, people just got tired of the pandemic. It's like, yeah, we're good. We're good, pandemic. We're just gonna keep it moving. But yeah, anytime you guys want me to stop by, or anytime you guys want to swing by the compound and talk on the Rocky Mountain Picture Show, you've got the open invite. And yeah, this is a fun movie. If you haven't seen F9 yet, then you should check it out, at least just to see it. If you're a fan of this franchise, it's a good film. And yeah, I had a lot of fun. fellas. And if anybody wants to hear more from me, check me out on Twitter at @8MOZAIK for my work over at Post Wrestling, including the aforementioned Rocky Maivia Picture Show, as well as the Nubian Wrestling Advocates, which is a show about pro wrestling from the perspective of Black fans, journalists, commentators, and performers. I've also got the Kings of Sport, which just reached episode 300.
Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
Congrats,
I appreciate
congrats.
it. We have a Patreon. So while you're subscribing to the Too Fast, Too Forever Patreon, you can just drive across the street. You don't even have to drive across a bridge like Jacob and Dom. You just drive across the street and check out the Kings of Sport Patreon, patreon.com/Kings of Sport. $5 gets you in the door. And we've got over 200 hours of audio and video, sports, pro wrestling, MCU reviews, politics, pop culture talk. There's a Hamilton live watch on there from a couple years back that still makes me chuckle every time I stumble across it. We did a review, speaking of John Cena, we did a review of season 1 of Peacemaker earlier this year. That's on the Patreon, so you can check that out. And I'm on the DC TV podcast networks talking about DC shows, which is apt considering considering Dwayne Johnson, wrong wrestler, is going to be in Black Adam later this year. You can check that out. And again, like I said, for anything else, just find me on Twitter at @8MOZAIK. Joe's always a pleasure, fellas. If you just holler at me anytime you guys want to talk about landmines or street racing or women that have the sexy Pete Rose haircut.
I love it. I love it so much.
Thank you so much, brother.
Joe, next week we have our tune-up relap recap closing at 11, announcing the theme for lap 12, doing that thing next week. But first, as a bonus to the Patreon, and as a supporter of our show, Nate's going to get this episode. If you're out there listening, why can't I get the episode? You can. Go to toofast2forever.com and sign up. But Joe, you and I are watching our final pit stop behind the paywall. We are watching the Ben Affleck film, The Town. Ben Affleck in The Town. Is that a movie you have seen, Joe, or no?
I have seen The Town before, but only when it first came. Actually, I have a vague memory of watching it in Rachel's basement for some reason at her house.
You've been watching a lot of movies in basements this lap.
I know.
You watched a movie in Matt's basement. You watched a movie in Rachel's basement.
It was Zach's basement.
Zach's basement.
Yeah. And in this movie, I think I remember watching it in Rachel's basement. So that's what I need to rewatch. But that's what I think I watched it.
Well, we are going to be watching and talking about it next week, and then we're doing our tune-up, relap, recap, and then we're starting lap 12 with our new format. So this is very exciting. Ooh. The end of an era, beginning of a new era. All good things on Too Fast. Yeah. But for all things Too Fast, Too Forever, go to cageclub.me, facebook.com/TooFast2Forever, or at TooFast2Forever on Twitter and Instagram. Email us, family@cageclub.me. Check out our Patreon page. Again, Nate is a supporter. Thank you so much, Nate. At TooFast2Forever.com and our store with our George Pickens t-shirt at TooFast2Forever.shop.
Yes.
And come back next week for a bonus episode about The Town and our tune-up relap recap.
Not to hijack your show, fellas, but we cannot stress it enough. If you're a fan of the show, no. If you're a family member of this show, you need to sign up for the Patreon, because if we learn nothing from F9, is that people do terrible things when their family turns against them.
Oh,
it's true. I do like that you and I, your show, our show, we support one another on Patreon for $5 a month. So we have access to one another's stuff. But basically all we're doing is every month giving Patreon 40 cents of our money. It's just neither of us are making money. We're netting out even, but we're also losing 40 cents.
Yes, we're literally yes, because I follow a lot of my friends' podcasts on Patreon, and we're all just passing around the same $5 bill, and Patreon is taking 40 cents off of each of it each time we pass it around.
It's wonderful. I mean, you do get a shout out. We mention the Kings of Sport every episode when we do the list. But so is that worth 40 cents a week or 40 cents a month for a weekly shout out? Maybe. I don't know. Who knows? But I do like the Patreons look at these idiots. They're giving us money for literally almost nothing, but still love it. Never going to stop supporting you. Thank you for supporting us. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe too.
And that was Nate Milton of the Kings of Sport and all sorts of other podcasts, and we'll tell you all about it
when we see you